Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast, episode number 3. I'm your host Scott alongside co-host Holly.
Hello.
With beers in hand, ready
Yes.
to fully dissect and jump into another wonderful show. Well, a show. We'll decide if it's wonderful throughout the course of it. But for this episode, it was my selection. I've picked Survivor Series 2001.
Yep.
So, a little bit of the information as to why I picked this show.
Okay.
Again, like with some of the others that we've discussed, I had several VHS cassettes, which were big in the 90s.
How retro of you.
I know, exactly. It was the going thing at the time, before DVDs, and that's a dying empire these days. But yeah, it was one of the VHSs that I had and replayed the crap out of. I couldn't tell you exactly where I got the VHS from.
It wasn't a W.H. Smith's bargain bucket dive.
It wasn't a bargain bucket dive, but I can't rule out the fact it might have been.
Warher Smith's.
Could have been HMV, we don't know. Like I said, other shops are available.
Retro.
But it was one that I used to always go back to. Not mainly because I didn't have like an extensive collection at the time, if I'm being honest. But there was something about the traditional Survivor Series match of it being 5 guys against 5 guys, and it felt like there were high stakes involved where at any time you could be against the odds. It could be 5 on 3, 5 on 4, 5 on 2, whatever. So it already felt like it was an important match type. And going into this, obviously it being 2001, still just at the tail end of the Attitude Era, I would say. So it still had a little bit of edge about it. Don't get me wrong, I was very young at the time of this, so I'd have been 12, just about.
No,
so
I would have been 13.
13, 14. Yeah.
Alright, let's leave it at 13.
Okay, we'll leave it at 13, but I like to tell the truth, depending on what time of the year it was. But no, you would have been just 1 year older at the time. And for me, so I don't think I saw this at the time. I probably saw it a few years after the fact.
Yeah.
Because my exposure to wrestling in general was through VHSs or what I could record on TV. Because I didn't have Sky for a lot of my time growing up.
This would have been one of mine. Neighbour films it, passes the tape over the back fence.
Exactly, like cheeky backhanded drug deals. I get that.
Yep.
But for me, it was a case of whenever I'd go out, so shopping with a family, you'd go through and you look through the usual shops like Virgin, Megastores, HMV, those kind of things. And I would go straight to the very limited sports section because that's where the wrestling VHSs were stored. And I'd see whatever was there. If I'd saved up enough pocket money, I'd get myself something.
Sweet.
To be honest, you had to kind of keep yourself entertained. As a kid, only child. I mean, to be fair, for a while you were an only child.
8 years I was an only child.
Exactly, and like you kind of, so a lot of that time for me and you, it would have been the same.
A nice peaceful time.
A nice peaceful time before you had any
I
siblings.
I love my sister, but it was a nice
sister. That's fine.
peaceful
But
time.
Sorry, she doesn't know
She's
you're
not going to
doing
be listening
this.
to this now.
I was going to say, and even if she did know that we were doing this, there's no way she'd listen. No, which is fair enough. Each to their own. So even we're getting the support from family even on this venture. But yeah, and it was, like I said, it was for me, it felt like such a vital match. So I mentioned previously that my favourite wrestling match is a Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Always loved it, and whenever I was booking my own territory with my Hasbro figures, Royal Rumbles would be the key thing. I'd usually kind of give up hope halfway through trying to do singles matches, and I'd go, I feel like now's a good time for a Royal Rumble, so stop mid-match, get out of the ring,
fair play,
and we're bringing the next thing. I even had, so this is an interesting story, which I don't know if you know about.
Oh, okay.
But when I would have been, so age-wise, I would have definitely been under 7, because I was living in a different part of Surrey, and I nearly gave away where that is, not that it particularly matters, but I remember having a birthday party, and it was at the time where it's not really through school friends, it's family friends who have got kids of a similar age, and that's the thing. So at the time, a lot of my mum's friends all had daughters, so it was so fine, nothing sordid coming out of this, don't worry. So they all came around, and you do like the after party goodie bags.
Oh yes.
Okay, and one of the things in there was a little doll. There's long hair.
Oh, because they were girls.
Because they're all girls.
Yeah.
I think the guy's one was like a monster truck or something like that.
Standard.
And I had one, and the only other guy who was like my mum's friend's kid who was supposed to come in was ill that day, so he couldn't come.
Yeah.
A likely story. But when the
He was
goodie bags
washing
were
his
given
hair.
out, he was washing his hair, or his mum was washing his hair. Prick. I don't even remember who it is, to be honest. But Yeah, I felt left out
Oh, okay.
because everyone got a doll
That's sad.
and I didn't get a doll,
You wanted a doll.
and I cried because I wanted a doll.
Oh.
So
Oh no!
there was
Did
a
you?
spare. There was a spare.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
So I had this brunette head doll who went right in the same like little kind of yellow, not Tupperware, but
Yeah, like
box, storage box, full of these figures, which I've still got somewhere at my parents' house. I don't say parents, my mum's house. So I have to get them sometime, see if I can make room. Anyway, that's I'm really segueing now. But I use this female as either a manager or a ring announcer.
Oh, okay.
So she would be the one who stands in the ring and
Clever.
introduces. I was ahead of the time.
She'd be the Lillian.
Lillian Garcia,
Yeah.
before Lillian Garcia was the
Yeah.
thing, because I was doing this at the age of like 6, so it was still very much in the Howard Finkel era at that point.
Okay.
But yeah, and basically, like I said, I'd always revert to a Royal Rumble match. However, the other match that I'd fall back on was a traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 match.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tapes that I managed to record, so when I lived in the other part of Surrey,
Mm-hmm.
we did have Sky there. It was when we moved house that we didn't have it because it was a bigger place, so other expenses make sense. But for me, and it sounds really sad and pathetic, but I felt like I'd lost a friend. Because I used to rely on watching wrestling to keep me entertained.
Yeah,
so
you're
for
a
about
kid,
for about 8 years.
You
So it
felt
went from a period
lonely.
of so I just was reliant on anything that
Bless.
came on standard TV, terrestrial TV in the UK.
Yep.
Which leads me on to some of the stuff that I recorded. So I had a few VHSs. This Survivor Series 2001 was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Royal Rumble 2000 was another.
Mm.
But weirdly, I remember having the official VHS copy of it, but I also remember recording it when it was live on Channel 4 with the adverts, and that used to get played back relentlessly.
Yeah.
So that's one of my go-to
Okay.
shows as well. And yeah, like I said, I remember learning about the invasion side of things. So I assume, and I'm going to ask you in a second, that all this stuff is fairly new to you. I don't imagine you'd seen anything of this show. What did you know of this show?
This, I don't know. I feel like some of it was mildly familiar.
Okay.
I knew about the whole point of it.
Okay.
It was a case of
What was at stake?
Yeah, and when I rewatched it, I literally rolled my eyes so hard I thought I was going to go blind. But I didn't remember any of the actual matches itself, which was great. But I did get confused over what the whole point was. Like, I know, obviously, it was WWF's going to go out of business, but I was like, why? And then I got overly confused because I was like, hang on, we've already watched a 2006 match, which was an ECW show.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm so confused because this is 2001. We've already watched one in 2006 when ECW was clearly still a thing.
Yeah.
I got so confused and I was like,
don't
overthink it. Yeah, because I didn't Google it and I thought
that was going to be my first question. Did you Google it to find out anything? So effectively what happened, this stems from the early to mid 90s, is that WCW was the main competitor for Vince McMahon and WWF. Financed by Ted Turner, who owns I think it's TNN Broadcasting or something. So he's a big multimedia mogul in the States. He created direct competition to Vince McMahon. He basically bought out what was Jim Crockett Promotions, which was formerly the NWA. So you might have heard of the NWA title. They had a link at one point with TNA in the early 2000s, but from the early to mid 90s, WCW really came to the forefront to be a legitimate competitor with WWF and then actually overtake it in terms of ratings for a while. So I know you know who Eric Bischoff is.
Yes, I do.
So Eric Bischoff was at the helm of this decision making when WCW started to overtake the WWF.
Oh, okay.
So this stemmed from about, I'd say, effectively how it started in terms of them being able to compete. Eric Bischoff basically said we didn't have the same kind of platform that WWF did. They had live TV, or they had TV at least every week for Raw is War, which started in '93.
Okay. Yeah.
He was talking to Ted Turner. Ted Turner said, "How do you think we can compete better with them?"
Yeah.
He said, "Give me live TV." So this is how WCW Nitro came to be a thing, which is the direct competitor of Raw. So started off quite well. But then, as it went on, so some of the contracts of the WWF guys started to lapse.
Okay.
So in WWF, have you heard of the Clique or the Clique?
No.
So that's a group that's Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Razor Ramon, Diesel, X-Pac. All really good friends behind
Diesel,
the scenes.
was that Kevin Nash?
That's Kevin Nash.
Okay.
and Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, who died.
Yes, I know.
ago.
Yeah, okay, so I know all of those guys are like close knit.
And they're called the Clique because backstage they had, well, they were in a little group basically, and they were looking out for themselves, looking out for their own best interests at the expense of other people in the locker room. Created a lot of resentment. Well, anyway, so a couple of their contracts came up, them being Scott Hall, Razor Ramon at the time, Diesel, Kevin Nash. So WCW were trying to make waves. They were able to spend a little bit of money. And at the time, guaranteed contracts for wrestlers weren't a thing.
Okay.
So it's basically you get what you're paid, effectively based on show attendance, your importance on the card, special events. Okay. Whereas this introduced effectively a guaranteed downside to their contract. So even if they're injured, they get a minimum of X amount.
Yeah.
So you can still get more on that based on merchandise and pay-per-view sale, this kind of stuff. So Scott Hall's contract came up in 95, I want to say it was. He negotiated with WCW. I don't think he was even necessarily looking to leave WWF because he's in a fairly good position.
Yeah.
He went to WCW because of the money they're offering him.
Right.
He spoke to Kevin Nash, Diesel, whose contract was coming up. Kevin Nash went, okay, well, let's listen to this offer as well. It's a reduced schedule for more money.
Nice.
Makes sense. Why wouldn't you do it?
I'd do that. Yeah.
Even though the platform wasn't quite as big, it was still relatively comparable, but not to the same scale as the WWF. He then went to WCW as well, so they came in WCW as the outsiders, but they were portrayed as guys that were invading from WWF.
Okay.
So some of their promos would be Scott Hall saying, he'd be still doing the Razor Ramon accent, going, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. So they're acting like it was a legitimate invasion. They couldn't use the names, obviously, Razor Ramon and Diesel, to the point where when things were being suggested, I think WWF put a lawsuit in against them, said,
like
this is our...
trademarked it. Like,
exactly. Yeah. So I know that there was a lot of litigious stuff going on in that respect.
God, it's a big word.
Thank you. I was about to say I had my Weetabix this morning. I didn't. Nor do I really have Weetabix. But effectively this helped put WCW at a new level and seen as legitimate competition. And when they started competing with time slots, so WWF were on, I can't remember, apologies for the network they were on, and then WCW was the direct comparison. So you had the choice of watching...
the same time type thing.
And this is when people watching wrestling, apart from in some of Hulk Hogan's era in the 80s where like a Saturday night's main event would get ridiculous numbers of viewership, this was the peak for TV viewing for wrestling, and it was when they were both at their peak. And there was an 83 approximate week period where WCW beat WWF in the ratings. So more people were watching them. There was shady tactics going on. So for example, WCW, because they were live every week, if they got wind of, because WWF used to record theirs in batches, so they'd do like they tended to do 2 weeks in one go. So it'd be live, recorded, recorded. And WCW would start to give away some of the results. Oh, okay. And said, you don't want to watch the other channel because this happens. Which was poor technique. Yeah. I mean, McMahon says, where's the
like
honour in that?
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon was one of the dirtiest backstabbing bastards to get what he wanted and take over the wrestling empire. But that's a story for another time. And there was one episode of Nitro where on commentary they said, Mick Foley wins the WWF title. Who the hell wants to see that? Or that will put butts in seats. Loads of people stopped watching WCW and went to watch the title change on WWF. And then it also linked with the rise of Stone Cold. Stone Cold helped turn the tide. Obviously they had The Rock and other big players were kind of coming too, but Stone Cold
was his time, wasn't it, really? Yeah.
Exactly. So there was a correlation with the rise of Stone Cold and WWF slowly starting to take back over in the ratings war. Then effectively WCW were overspending on contracts left, right and centre, put themselves in so much financial difficulty that Ted Turner, who was the financial backer, said this isn't viable. Someone in his organisation said we need to get rid of this because it's not
just
worth
losing money.
So they put it up for sale. WCW in 2000. I think it was in 2000 that it was originally up for sale, but it didn't get sold until the following year, early 2001. Again, apologies, I don't have the dates in front of me, but that's effectively the gist of it. When it was put up for sale, there was a consortium that was led by Eric Bischoff who wanted to buy it and take it on, but through various logistic issues that he had, he wasn't able to pull the trigger. And Vince McMahon came in, and I think it was sold for as little as $1 million. Which is a lot of money, but relatively speaking,
for a company
of that size and the back catalogue of footage that they had. And he bought it. ECW was a different matter. So ECW was the third alternative. It was never of the size of WCW and WWF, but it had a loyal fan base, as you've seen from these shows. Paul Heyman, very good talker, not so good at paying people.
Oh, okay.
They managed to get a TV deal themselves, but the restrictions that were put on them by the broadcaster, they were shoved from left, right and centre, like they were put... Other shows were taking precedent over them.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't getting any advertisement from the network. And there were instances where Paul Heyman would like do a live promo or have a promo recorded of him saying, "I dare you, throw me off the air, like I'll tie you up," in like real things being put on in front of TV. ECW were losing people left, right and centre. They lost the likes of Taz, went to WWF. Mike Awesome, who I don't think you'll be aware of, went to WCW. The Dudleys went. They lost the Luchadors, so they lost Rey Mysterio. Juventud Guerrero Psychosis went to WCW. And then, don't get me wrong, they still had people they could work with, but with the checks bouncing, it was just a dark time for them. So Vince McMahon also bought them out when it was no longer financially viable. So at the time for me, seeing this stuff, I was very excited when they were talking about an invasion. They had an invasion pay-per-view where WCW and ECW guys started turning up.
Yes.
And making it look like there was a legitimate thing there. In hindsight, you only realise how badly they misjudged it, and they could have done so much more with it. Because a lot of the WCW contracts, because basically when Vince bought them, the company, he said, right, okay, so I'm not paying you these wages, so you have two choices. You either take a pay cut on what I would offer you, and you can come work for us immediately, or you can sit out and wait out your contract on what it was currently at. I don't know the legalities of who was paying that, but a lot of them chose to went, right, I'll sit out. So the likes of Sting, who didn't want to go to WWF because he was born-again Christian, he didn't agree with the product for various reasons. Goldberg was on a cushy contract, like, no, I don't see the need to come over. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash at the time, didn't come over. Hulk Hogan didn't come back over because they were all quite happy sitting there getting their paychecks. So the best people...
paycheck for no work.
I get it. Yeah. And I'm just thinking selfishly from a fan's perspective as what I would have liked to have seen, especially in hindsight. So some of their biggest hitters that they could have had weren't involved in the invasion. So they had to use the likes of... And Booker T was a big name for WCW. He was competing for... I think he was the final World Heavyweight Champion when they closed their doors. It was either him or Scott Steiner. I forget, but I think it was Booker T. And it was like him, DDP... was another big one from there. On the ECW side, you had Rob Van Dam.
Yes.
So, but the real big, like Ric Flair didn't come back over when WCW were bought out, at least initially. He came back later on, as did all of them.
I was going to say, all the people that you've mentioned, I remember coming back.
But that was like 2002, 2003.
I see one said sat out.
Exactly. The remainder of their contracts.
One said had a cushy little paid break. Nice.
So, really, what should happen with the invasion is you need to make them look like a credible threat.
Yeah.
If you don't make them look like a credible threat, who's going to care? Who's going to believe what happens? Otherwise, they weren't. Every time they kind of stepped up, they lost.
Right.
It doesn't help, like I said, not having their big names, but still, it's an issue. And effectively, that's why, in hindsight, the invasion and all the alliance against WWF was looked at as a failure because of how many opportunities were missed along the way.
Right.
But not knowing this as a kid...
Yeah, I wouldn't have had an absolute Scooby-Doo.
Exactly, you're excited about
the
possibilities.
You're just watching it for what it is.
So I thought at the time, because I didn't know about the...
It could close.
Yeah. And I was die-hard WWF guy. I don't get me wrong, I've seen WCW and ECW stuff subsequently from this, but for me, I was...
At the time.
When someone left WWF, I felt like I'd been betrayed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hope they come back. And I have that still to an extent now.
With some people,
With some people, like, don't get me wrong, I like the fact that AEW's offering an alternative option to people.
Yep.
But
there's
when
one
I see
in particular very recently. I just...
Exactly.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but at the end of the day, I still want them to succeed in WWF. But I don't begrudge them for doing it. No. It makes financial sense. So effectively, like I said, Vince McMahon owned everything. Storyline-wise, the way it was done was at the last episode of Nitro, there was a simulcast, I don't know what you call it, where he's gone live on both Raw and Nitro at the same time, going, I own the competition in my hands. And what happened was, so storyline-wise, because again, I don't know about storylines at the time, Shane McMahon comes out of the WCW show and says, oh, sorry to interrupt you, Dad, just thought I'd have a McMahon presence at the show. And McMahon did buy the company. It wasn't Vince. On the contract, it's Shane McMahon. So Shane is the storyline owner of WCW. I don't exactly remember how they wrangled it, so Stephanie McMahon owns ECW, but effectively they both own the competition.
Right, okay, because that's what I was like, I don't understand this storyline. I'm not going to Google it, like, so that makes sense now.
Because it turned into, effectively, it's again turned into a family McMahon feud rather than the companies themselves. Because only a McMahon can beat a McMahon. That's how it works.
Yep, standard. So
that's the background behind it. They did stuff like that, but WCW weren't made, or the Alliance weren't made to look credible. So as you can tell, as we go, obviously we'll do a match by match breakdown as we're accustomed to to on this.
Absolutely.
And I realise now I've been talking for a fair bit without you talking, but I feel like it's an interesting educational
it's something
piece.
that I didn't know, so
apologies,
it helps me.
Apologies if anyone's lost a little bit of interest in that, but I feel like it's important to bring Holly up to speed.
It's helpful for me.
That's what I'm sure it's helpful for other people out there as well. To a point, it's not the most detailed analysis you'll ever see, but it's something. So, I'll save what I was going to say until we get into the show, because I think it's a good reason to save it for the main event. So, like I said, Survivor Series 2001, 18th of November 2001. The venue was the Greensboro Coliseum Complex in Greensboro, North Carolina. Yep. Attendance was 13,142, and the buy rate was a whopping 450,000. Which, if you think about the comparison from ECW, on that stand, that was like 3 times the amount, nearly. So it shows the lay of the land. Obviously, it was more predicated on being pay-per-view. Well, they didn't have the network, obviously, in 2001. But it just shows the drop-off that's happened since then, even though that isn't their driving factor behind it. Now, normally I wouldn't say anything about the arena itself.
Okay.
But there's an interesting thing about it being Greensboro, North Carolina.
Right.
So Greensboro, North Carolina, it's like Ric Flair country.
Okay.
So WCW and historically Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA, this was one of their strongholds.
Oh, was it?
As an area. It was, loved the NWA. Wasn't because the WWF was like a northeastern thing. It was New York, it was Boston, it was all that stuff up there. Everything else was kind of NWA led. I guess, to be fair, California was more WWF as well. So they basically went to the heart of the competitor. Right. Obviously, it was a WWF audience there, but I thought it was an interesting thing to take away from it as well, that they used it in like the...
I would never... Obviously, that wouldn't have clicked with me, so...
I didn't even... I
knew where it was, and I got very excited as to where it was, but didn't realise that's right. Of course it is.
Of course
it is. As soon as they introduced where it was, I was like, oh, please tell me I'm getting a Hardy match.
Yeah, well, that was a happy coincidence, which we'll get into later. But, I've kind of gone over the background for it. I actually had made some points here to cover, but I pretty much touched upon all of them. The only initial thing I had before we get into the matches themselves, and I've mentioned it before, JR and Paul Heyman working together on commentary. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that was very good.
No, I'd find it hard to believe if you managed to tune the entire commentary out, because they were
so
this
one
on point.
I actually didn't. This one I made like some comments about it, and actually I did enjoy it, because Paul Heyman winds me up in this era.
Yeah.
But having him on commentary with JR, perfect.
They work so well together.
The combo together. And also, Paul Heyman played the part of being so one-sided, whereas JR was impartial. Well, and in some of the matches, he was very impartial, and he'd like, oh, that was a really good move by so-and-so, and like Paul Heyman's like, yeah, I know, because we're going to win, and we're the best. And he's like, yeah, I said it was a good move. Move on.
Yeah, it was the very good dynamic. And it works. Normally, I don't like the bickering too much because it takes away from it. But because of what was at stake, or what was sold as being at stake, it worked. And it's interesting, JR being fairly neutral in some instances. Because where do you think he worked before WWF got him?
I have absolutely no idea.
WCW.
Oh, okay.
He was I think at one point he had booking responsibilities in the promotion, but he was definitely on the commentary team there as well in the very early 90s, I want to say, before one of the many times that Vince saw fit to fire him under WWF auspices. But it was brilliant. It's probably, don't get me wrong, there's other commentators that I've liked. There are some that I think work well together, but this for me is like the perfect... It
was the perfect combo for a Survivor Series.
For that match, for that show
for that
specifically,
era,
I think. But that was the first comment I put. But before we go into the first match, I think we have to formally dink the beer bottle.
Cheers.
So apologies if you can hear that. I'm going to drink it around the microphone.
Lovely.
So it's very nice. And now we can formally move on to the first order of business in terms of the show itself.
Yes, we can.
So to, again, open up a little window into my life as to how I watch this, I was downstairs and my wife was just further down the sofa, and she was, I can't remember what she was doing, I think she was doing some sort of video game, like handheld thing. But she was peering up occasionally and seeing what was on TV, and a couple of comments came out. And one of them was very early doors in this match.
Oh, so straight into the first match. Yeah, let's go.
The opening match itself, we got Christian defending the European title, which was a thing for those that didn't know it. The European title was a thing against Al Snow. So, actually, before we go into the content of the match itself, because we touched upon this a couple of episodes ago, the Netflix documentary series.
Yes, I'm still watching.
Have you gone beyond 3 episodes as of yet?
I have, yes.
Okay, how are you finding it in general, and how do you think like Al Snow maybe specifically is coming across?
It's fascinating, I'll be totally honest. It is fascinating. He comes across as someone who just wants to give a good show to everybody.
Yeah,
like
I think that's a fair comment.
He knows what wrestling is. He wants to provide a high standard of wrestling to the people that are watching, with little to no regard of the monetary impact that this may be having.
I think that's painfully evident based on the financial backers that they've brought in there.
Yes.
One of whom rubs me up the wrong way, I'll be honest. You kind of warm up to him later in the show.
I really like him.
The guy with the cap.
Yeah, I really like him.
I think, and it's more in terms of how because rightly or wrongly, wrestling is a very insular industry. Mm-hmm. Anyone from the outside coming in, there are like unspoken rules and things that you're supposed to do to, be respectful. And I think they probably overdo it, to be fair. Like WWF, or WWE I should say, have a thing of when someone's new, they go around and shake everyone's hand in the locker room, stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas I think going in there saying, "Hi everyone, nice to be here," anything like, something like that. But it's seen as the utmost rudeness if you go in and kind of dictate how things should be done, regardless of if you're financially backing it. Like, the gentleman's name eludes me.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
But he kind of comes in quite...
very friendly, but...
to a point. But he's going to these people, right, I think you should be doing this, that and the other. And they're going, right, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You're telling us to... telling grandmother how to suck eggs. But I guess he's been brought in because there's a reason that they need that for the money side of things. It kind of... don't get me wrong, as you go through the series, he softens.
I think I've got to the... I mean, I didn't mind him to start with, but I can understand why people wouldn't. But I think I've got to the point now where everyone's kind of like, I see why he's here. Maybe we should actually listen to him now. I haven't got to the episode where he's explained it, and he's explained to people. People saw him have one. It's not been on camera,
right?
But people saw him have one. And he went around and apologised to them.
Yeah,
that's one I thought was sweet. Very sweet. And I was like, that's so not necessary, but so sweet.
And that's the first time my opinion started to swing on him a bit. Not like I outright disliked him, but I could see why the wrestlers didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anyone comes into a new job though, that from an outsider point of view, you immediately think, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, you do kind of give them the old side eye. Yeah,
and I think in wrestling it's only magnified further due to the nature of the business and the people involved. Because
of course it's a physical job as well, like,
It's mentioned several times in the series as well that you have to be a specific type of person to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And they don't fit into many aspects of normal society. So you think it's a very high-strung environment at the best of times.
Yeah.
But for me, Al Snow is, and I like him, because I think a lot of it he's aware that he's coming across like a cantankerous old bastard, and I think he's just kind of leaning into it a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
But I do like him, I have to admit. I do like him. And I forgot, funnily enough, because obviously, like I said, for someone who's watched this show so many times, I forgot he was even on it. To be honest, so this was quite a nice little thing, and I thought, brilliant, we can mention the Netflix shows we're talking about.
When I saw the match, though, I thought, oh my god, like I'd forgotten, because now I'm so used to seeing him on that TV show.
Yeah.
I was like, I vaguely remembered what he looked like, but I was like, I didn't remember him wrestling. I just remembered him holding the head.
Yeah.
And that was it. I don't remember seeing him physically wrestle. So this was brilliant. I enjoyed it.
So my missus, I pointed it out and said, oh, you know that show I was watching on Netflix, The Wrestlers? I said, well, this is the guy that's the, the trainer, the lead guy. And she wouldn't have recognised him based on that.
No.
And to me, I'm like, no, I see it. But obviously it's, from
someone
who doesn't.
I understand that you wouldn't see it, because he looks so different now.
But yeah, and that was when I first kind of, because she wasn't paying attention until then.
Yeah.
And then she came out with a comment. So I think we'll go back to the match itself
now.
Yeah,
of course.
And so Christian comes out first, said his hair's wet.
He looks great.
Bonus
sorry.
Point.
Yes.
Bonus point because he came out with
last time we saw him was fluffy,
17.
wasn't it? This is a good look for him.
Better look, the mesh shirt.
I'm here for it.
So I know you are. Now, the comment that my missus made...
Oh, okay.
She went, his right nipple is very erect.
Oh.
And that's all I could see. from that point on. Big old nip pointing right through the meshing.
String vest.
Yes, and so I'll be honest, funny. I was fully prepared to watch the show, and then for the entire time he's talking, I'm just staring at Obi-Wan Knipple over here.
So funny.
And I was like, thanks for that.
Nice.
Lovely lady. Yeah, you've put me right off my track of what I was doing. But yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think it also helped, probably from your perspective, that he wasn't standing next to Edge.
Yes.
Because there wasn't the comparison point.
There wasn't. And I did actually remember when the match started, I went, I did like Christian at one point.
Yeah.
When they weren't together.
Yes.
And then I put a question down.
Okay.
When did they stop the gimmick that they were brothers? Because that went on for quite a while.
I don't know.
Or did it just not actively stop? It just kind of, they stopped wrestling together all the time?
I don't know if they were like split. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they were split up as a tag team or if they just decided to go their own ways. Because Edge might have been Edge was Edge wasn't injured at this point.
He got a bigger push.
They saw more
as a result,
upside in Edge for sure than they did Christian, and Christian they turned moany. I don't remember them having an initial feud immediately, or if they were just split up. But like I said, I'm sure someone can tell us, but we can look into that. But just in terms of the brothers thing, I think even after they split up, I think they still
claimed that
I don't think there's ever a point where they came and said, oh, by the way, we're not brothers.
Yeah.
But later on they went, oh, we're childhood friends. And then you're just hoping people don't remember.
Yeah.
Because they were, that's true. They were childhood friends. That's and there's that clip of Edge back from WrestleMania 6 when he's in the crowd at the Toronto Dome, full on fluffy mullet. He's got in the crowd with his Hulk Rules t-shirt. He must have been about, I don't know, 11, 12 or something at the time, maybe a bit older. But yeah, they were friends all the way back then, which is quite nice. So when they're obviously back together again in AEW.
Well, it's not going well so far.
Ah, well, you know, what are brothers
but
like?
They are
always fighting.
You know, knocking on 50s doors. So
well, yeah, and the rest, I think. But then again, if Ric Flair can still do it...
stop.
I wish he would, but someone has to stop him, I'm afraid. So... I think there was the first line of commentary that really caught my attention was in this match, and they were talking about Al Snow, and they were doing the right thing by playing up the fact that, well, you know, he's not really an in-ring performer these days. He's a trainer, so there'll be ring rust, and I like the idea of that. Like, it's a fighting condition, so you need to be able to go. And then Heyman comes out with a line of, well, those that can't do teach. And I was taken to School of Rock, and I thought, and those that can't teach gym, which amused me. I think I said it out loud to no one's benefit other than my own, and had a chuckle. And then so after I put those that can't do teach, I put Al Snow, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it's a solid performance, I think, from both guys.
Yeah,
I think it's well positioned on the card.
Perfect opener for me.
Good back and forth. They were both at the right level to kind of
well
Al Snow
matched, kind of.
Isn't really going to get higher up the card than that. Christian was on the upswing, and I think the match itself was perfectly fine. The real thing I have an issue with is that Christian representing the Alliance made no sense.
I'll be honest, at this point, even though it was the first match, I had to forget about that
because
it boggled me. Because we've already established I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just have to take these as individual matches.
Fine.
Not until it got to the end one, that made more sense.
Right.
My simple little mind. But this, I was just like, I got too confused because then there were people that had titles from another company, but they were still on it. I was just like, you know what? Just take them all as individual matches.
So
didn't understand.
I try to get into the minutiae of it in terms of why people were representing different things. So Al Snow obviously had ties to WWF. He was a trainer for Tough Enough, etc.
Yes.
But he had a stint in ECW. That's where the head thing started.
Oh, okay.
That was an ECW original. So it would have made more sense for him to be the Alliance. I guess they probably couldn't because he was training the WWF. Yeah. But Christian, as far as I'm aware, never did anything in either WCW or ECW, even in like dark matches. I don't think he had any involvement in there. So I don't recall exactly what made him transition to the Alliance, but I remember just thinking, that's dumb.
Right.
I feel like you should actually be... And there's other things they could have done, not necessarily with Christian, but with other people that would have made sense to move them to one side or the other. And that's a theme that I'll mention later through the night, to be honest. Or later through this review. I'm talking about it like it's a live recording and it's going live in the evening. So I said, good exchanges between the two. Yep. There wasn't any moments where I was bored.
No, I wasn't bored. There was a couple where I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. Like there was one where, I don't know what any of these moves are called. Al Snow does slides between Christian's legs, has hold of his hand, still, and then does something. Maybe and I was like, that's new.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not because it's 2001.
It's
But
creative.
I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I enjoyed that.
And to give, as much as in the last show for No Mercy we were slating on the crowd, this crowd loved everything.
Yep.
And
You couldn't have done anything that they didn't enjoy.
exactly. And
Which I think
I
probably
put
did
here, I
peak
said for
it.
a relatively nothing match, I said the crowd are really into it.
Yeah.
And it's just kicking off the show. It shows what we're missing now, because I don't think they'll ever be able to get it back, just because it hit differently back in the Attitude Era than what it does now. It's a different audience, it's
sure.
a different mindset.
Yeah.
But it's a shame to think. I mean, we still get the occasional crowds, like especially for AEW, they're more vocal and consistently vocal. But it just made me feel nostalgic.
Yes.
For what's been lost.
Yeah.
I put Snowplow, which is Al Snow's finisher. So you remember that? It's kind of like a side brainbuster suplex type manoeuvre. Comes close, but Christian gets his foot on the rope. Nice little touch.
Yeah, I had that.
Then the Unpretty on Al Snow, and Christian retains the European title.
That's what it's called. I couldn't remember, and I just put the Christian move that looks like a bit like a reverse crucifix. Don't know what it's called, but it finished it.
The reverse crucifix. I'm okay with that because that works because his name's Christian.
Okay,
so touching upon the religion. The reverse crucifix.
Was Teddy Long the ref?
Teddy Long was the ref.
I was so confused. I literally didn't notice till the end.
So
I was like, what?
Interesting story about Theodore L. Long. I don't know, I think it's L. Long, I've made that up. But he was at WCW back in the day. I think NWA actually might have preceded that. He was a referee originally, I believe. And then for some reason they decided in WCW to turn him into a manager.
Yeah,
and he was primarily a tag team.
Yeah, I remember
manager.
him being on telly a lot and being.
But this was, I'm talking like the WCW days.
Because I have no clue of that.
But then WWF effectively did the same thing. They had him as a manager, and then they turned him. Had him as a referee, then they turned him into a manager.
Right.
So yeah, back in early WCW days, he was managing tag teams. I want to say he managed Sid Vicious and Dave Spivey. You don't know either
Blank
of them.
look
big,
on my face.
Big dudes, basically. Okay. He liked meaty boys as his tag teams. And yeah, so it's weird to see know that he did that to then come back to being a referee.
Right, I see, okay.
It's like there's a few people that have done that.
Because I only know him from, like, effectively The Future.
Ha player.
Yeah, and I was like, is that him? Like, so, yeah.
But there's a few referees that have done this over the years. WWF had a couple. So one of their referees, Bill Alfonso, that name means nothing to you.
Nope.
He was RVD's manager in ECW and had one of the bloodiest matches in ECW history with someone who you do know, Beulah McGillicuddy. Yeah, exactly. That look up. So I can't.
Sorry,
obviously, you didn't see Holly's face because she
sorry.
didn't articulate what her
Furrowed
face
my
did.
brow.
Furrowed her brow. Looked at me like I was speaking Latin.
Yeah.
But they had one of the bloodiest matches in ECW history. So he was referee. I think he refereed in ECW as well before he went into the manager's thing. And there was Dangerous Danny Davis, who was, and I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s WWF, who was a manager who then became a really crap wrestler, but had ties to the Hart Foundation at the time.
Okay.
So it does happen, but it's very rare. And then to see them go back to the referee role afterwards seems odd to me because they've got then too much character. Because it's key for a referee to be vanilla.
Yes.
In terms of you don't want them to stand out too much because then they're detracting from what you're watching. Yep. But yes, good spot on the Teddy Long front.
Eagle-eyed I was.
Were there any other takeaways you had on that match in particular?
That was it, actually, I'll be honest.
But to be fair, it was a nice little opener.
Yeah, it kind of was a nice intro for me. Like I was like, oh, okay, maybe this won't be painful.
I was going to say, were you expecting it to be a painful show, even given the era?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. A little bit. Not so much as I will be when you give me like a super old show to watch.
When we go back to the 80s,
yeah. But I just think because I just don't remember. And I'm like, oh, am I still going to be as entertained? And I really struggle watching things that look old.
Yeah.
And thankfully, obviously, I guess they've remastered a lot of footage maybe, so it looks a bit better.
I don't know, actually.
But did watch it for a letterbox.
See, I didn't have that.
Your TV's massive. Mine's only little.
Yeah, but still.
It was like a square rather than it being the rectangle and it taking up the whole screen.
Yeah.
Like the side, it was like a sideways letterbox. The sides were cut off, and I was like.
Oh, okay. I think that's just to be fair. That was more the recording way. So maybe that was for me, and I just didn't notice.
Yeah, it was fine because it was clear enough. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh no, if we go older than this,
well, better than the highlight video we just watched to remind ourselves.
Watching it through the bottom of a wine glass. You know what I mean?
With a Freddo in hand.
Absolutely.
But I think the interesting thing is, and that will be a hurdle for you to navigate, but I think you can, I believe you can do it, because once you get drawn into something, assuming you allow yourself to get drawn into it,
that would be the key.
You won't notice it, and then in hindsight you go, oh yeah, I didn't really think about that, and then it will be a less of an ongoing issue. I'm hoping that's the case.
I'm
anyway.
sure it'll be fine.
But either way, it's not going to stop me from venturing down that avenue. Okay, so following the Christian defence, we go to the Alliance locker room.
Oh, honestly, these segments snore.
Okay, so I say my interesting point. An interesting point. So we see Stone Cold coming into the locker room with his then wife Deborah.
I remember her.
And that, I'm pretty sure, is where King started the puppies comment from. I believe it's to do with Deborah.
See, I remember playing as her on the PlayStation game.
Why would
she
you
was an
pick
option.
Her? Why though?
It didn't really matter. You could play as anyone. They were all the same back then.
Well, yeah, true, but okay, fair enough. Obviously, there's stories of how that relationship ended. It was less than acrimonious. I think there was domestic abuse involved to a point. I don't even think that's alleged. I think that is actually confirmed. So when I see them together now, I'm like, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable.
Taints it a little bit.
But to be fair, Deborah rarely spoke when she was involved on TV. She was just there with her assets for the world to see. So Stone Cold as a heel, back in the day, used to be very dead, kind of straight-laced, I guess. When he came in as the ringmaster in WWF, which was a horrible gimmick, but that was genuinely the name they brought him in on. Very vanilla, didn't really say anything until he started going down the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Before I go too far down that, just an interesting fact of the day, as it were.
Okay.
Do you know some of the names that they were suggesting instead of Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Absolutely not, no.
I don't remember all of them, but I remember one of them was, and I'm not joking, Chili McFreeze.
Okay.
So
what the fuck?
Exactly. Imagine if that was
Chili McFreeze. It's like something you get at McDonald's.
Yeah, either that's a massive wind up, but I've definitely heard that was floated around.
Spicy milkshake, that is.
Exactly. So I think it was actually Deborah at the time who was watching a documentary about a serial killer, and this guy who had like a stone cold dead look in his eyes.
Oh, okay.
And it snowballed from there. I think this was when he was already looking for a gimmick change, and he latched onto that, and he brought it forward, and that's when they came out with all these ridiculous names.
Jesus.
So yeah, we see him go backstage, and he gets to show a little bit of his comedy in it as well. It wasn't completely straight laced.
No.
So they're suggesting that there's a lot of dissent in the group.
Yeah.
Can they trust Austin? And the reason for that is because Vince McMahon suggested he's got an inside man on the Alliance, and you think Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that isn't to say that, unlike Christian, Stone Cold had worked in both WCW and worked in ECW. So, funnily enough, if he was to pick a brand to represent, 100% he'd pick WWF. Because he certainly wouldn't pick WCW. Because when he was in WCW, he was originally primarily a tag team worker with Brian Pillman, who he eventually would feud with in the WWF, as the Hollywood Blondes, because Steve used to have long blonde hair.
Oh, you've shown me photos. Yes.
Yeah. Stunning Steve Austin.
Jesus.
Was the name.
Okay.
Still had the same voice, but that was, and to be fair, Brian Pillman had a bit of a aggy voice on him as well. He then went to a singles competitor, had a bit of a run at the mid-card level, so I think he was the United States champion at one point. Got injured and was effectively fired via fax, I think, or something like that, by Eric Bischoff, so he was not a Bischoff fan. Left there when he was kind of pissed off because he was still injured at the time. Paul Heyman, who had worked in WCW, picked up the phone and said, "Oh, Steve, how are you doing? How's it going?" He went, "Oh, God damn me, I'm an ex," and went down there. He said, "How do you feel about coming in and doing a few promos and just venting your frustrations about WCW?" "Oh, that's a hell of an idea, kid." And then came into ECW, and I'm not doing the voice justice, but not fully committing to it, just in case I really land on my face. But went to ECW, did some promos about taking the piss out of Eric Bischoff. So at that point, he shaved his head. He went into ECW starting off with long hair, and he started to develop this edgier character in the ECW arena. He had a match for the ECW World Title, didn't win it, but he wasn't there very long. Then transitioned to the WWF. But at least he has ties with both organisations. So that's the first thing I'd say. Looking around that locker room, Shane McMahon for the storyline is linked to them because he, quote unquote, owns it. Kurt Angle appeared once on ECW because they were trying to sign him. So this was right after the Olympics, the Atlanta Olympics, where he won the gold medal, and he was considering transitioning to WWF, and he was leaning towards joining ECW to start off his career, and they brought him out for a show, introduced him to the crowd.
Yeah.
On that same show, there was a segment which completely put him off joining that company, because I believe he's a religious guy, and this is where Raven put the Sandman on a crucifix and put barbed wire crown around his head, tied him up to the ropes. You can see why that would put someone off. And he was like, what the hell are you doing with this? There's no way I'm associating myself with this. Went to train WWF, and the rest is history. So apart from that one appearance, he has no allegiance. No sense, Exactly. But again, Booker T, 5-time WCW heavyweight champion. Rob Van Dam, effectively the face of ECW, makes sense. Okay, so again, it's the theme of people that are linked with them that shouldn't be, and some that could have been and didn't. I'll get onto that later. Okay. So effectively, what we see here is them just going,
can we trust you? Yes, no.
Exactly, and Stone Cold's looking at his imaginary watch.
Oh yeah,
and saying, I think it's time to shut your mouth and follow the leader, and that kind of stuff. Fine.
Just a bit long.
It was a bit long, but did you like there was little touches in there that I liked? Rob Van Dam acting like Stone Cold had spat on him.
Yes. Yes, I did see that.
Because RVD isn't one often to show that kind of emotion for no reason, and him just acting like he'd been spat on, I liked. Yeah. Nice little touch.
Yeah, it did tickle me, I suppose.
But we're in the era again where everything was weighed almost 50-50 between match content, skits and angles.
Oh yeah.
Really, it was even more so in the Attitude Era. It's more angles.
Heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
Which I think that they're the ones that would be a struggle for me to get through, because I prefer the in-ring stuff. But they're starting to go away from it, but it's still, the fingerprints of that are still very much all over this show, I think. Do you have any other notes specifically in that?
For the mammoth intermission that was between the two matches?
Yes.
Michael Cole features in there.
He does.
He's like 10 years old.
So with frosted tips, like the world's biggest bitch.
He's so young.
He comes in, because this is obviously, it transitions from the Alliance locker room to Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon.
Yeah.
Walking down, Michael Cole comes to interview them. Yeah. Like, are you scared, Michael? Are you worried you're going to lose your job? Well, you should be.
Yeah.
I should just be worried in general, I think, Michael Cole. But he does look like a fell breeze, or a swift breeze could fell the man.
Yes. I looked and I was like, what? I had to look twice, and then he called him like Michael, and I was like, it is him. My God, he's been around forever.
Funny to think that he was, I think, a war correspondent before he moved to WWF, and then this was the role he was put in before they moved him to commentary. I think he might have done the odd show at this point, maybe SmackDown. But yeah, he was still primarily backstage interviewer.
Okay.
And we hear a bleeped out swear word from the owner of the company, because he says to Linda, he says, there's a phrase, shit happens.
Yeah.
And they bleeped it out, so they can't say shit.
Oh.
And then he says it again later on after William Regal comes up, and Regal has to mention the Queen, because otherwise you don't know he's English.
Oh, this annoyed me, but yeah.
I will take great pleasure in bucking you both. Well, not literally. I mean, that would be a very different show. And then after he goes, we'll say, God bless the Queen.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
Standard.
And walks off. Vince says, see, shit happens.
Oh, I see.
But yes.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't notice that.
I was
about
to
think it's probably
ask,
because I know they might have bleeped it, but I would have known what he said, so mentally I didn't take it in.
But you didn't notice the fact it was a swear either way?
No.
Okay, fine.
This goes for my vocab, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then before they go back to, after Regal mentions the Queen, they, like I said, Vince says, shit happens, it goes back to the commentary team, and Heyman looks at JR like he's a piece of shit under his foot, and it's fantastic. He says something, I think it's about Xbox they're advertising.
Oh yeah, my God, that's how retro it is.
Exactly.
Let's advertise on Xbox.
I'm surprised it wasn't Nintendo 64 or something. And he finished saying his bit, then JR started talking, he looked at him, and I can't obviously get this across audio-wise, but he just
looks him up and down with a sneer.
And it's great. Yeah. It's just such a snivelling bitch moment
He's
that
so
he has.
good though at
he has a great bit later in the show as well, of being a snivelling coward. Okay, so now we move on to the second match.
Yes.
Where we see God Save the Queen, William Regal, taking on
everyone's favourite,
Yoshihiro Tajiri.
Yes.
So Regal representing the Alliance.
Yes.
Tajiri, obviously from ECW, but representing
This is, again,
WWF.
this is why I had to think of them as independent matches, because
Fine.
it just boggled my mind.
But Regal did have ties with WCW. He works in WCW. He had
Mhm.
no association with ECW.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he spent longer in there than he had WWF
Right.
by far. So it made sense
Yeah,
for him at least.
I understood
being
why
the Alliance.
he was, but then I was like,
But again,
well,
you could use
why is he
Tajiri.
not?
There's
Like,
enough WWF guys that you don't need to get
Yeah,
the likes of
that's
Tajiri to cover it.
confusing.
So Japanese music for their wrestlers
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's not as bad now, but there's still very much a touch of it now.
quite stereotypical.
Well, I love them. I'll be honest. It's not a great example because I really like Tajiri's engine. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
dun,
his
dun,
music's great. Yeah.
brilliant. Like it, but he might as like I said, they might as well come out to I Think I'm Turning Japanese. Like it's so like there's no subtlety with it.
No, true. Whereas everyone else has got their own
Yeah, and then
sort of identity with the music.
Even
There's
at this
this
point,
generic.
actually think about it. Think about the British wrestlers they've had: Davey Boy Smith,
Yeah.
Rule Britannia.
Yep.
William Regal kind of came out to
Oh.
aristocratic, shall we
Yeah,
say,
Yeah. True.
music, which was very stark contrast, those two themes.
Well, yes.
But that was one of my early notes, but I got excited when I saw Tajiri.
Oh, I love Tajiri.
I like his
Brilliant.
matches.
Yeah.
And
He's
this
very good.
didn't disappoint, I don't think. It was
No.
a very short match.
Oh, it was, but actually for me it felt like the perfect amount of time.
Oh yeah, I wasn't necessarily
Like there was
using
enough packed into it. It wasn't short and sweet. It was like there was a lot
It made
packed
sense.
into me. Like, yeah.
I wasn't necessarily using that as a derogatory comment
Yeah.
towards it. I just noticed that because
Yeah, it
it
wasn't
finished and I
very
went, oh.
Yeah.
But I wasn't angry. I was just
No.
surprised. I think that
They
that was,
could have done more, definitely.
they gauged the length of it well, and we see William Regal early doors get a lovely busted nose from.
Oh, yes.
I assume I don't think I actually saw the moment. I believe a Tajiri kick.
Yeah, I did. I was watching, and then all of a sudden I saw that he was like gushing from the schnoz, and I was like, okay, didn't
And
miss that.
I fucking love a Tajiri kick. Give it to me daily and nightly and ever so rightly.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Just they always look on point. Like I said, it defies his size. Because you look at him and you should think, oh, you're like 5'0".
Yes, this is like one of those matches when usually I'd look and go, this is fucking pointless.
Yeah.
Because he's big, he's little, stupid. Works.
But Tajiri's kind of like, he's got this animalistic nature about him where
Yeah.
you believe, like, I wouldn't have a fight with him. Like, he'd kill me.
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't have a fight with Regal either.
No.
But I look at Tajiri and go, like, some of them, like the small ones, you
Yeah.
think, maybe I could hold my own for a bit. With
Yeah.
him, no, just kick my head off.
Yeah, I'd put it, to me, it was like a power versus agility.
Yeah.
Like,
And ultimately, I guess power paid off, but we got to see a tarantula. Tajiri
yes,
got in
I did see that. I was very happy. Yep.
he got a good amount of offense in. It wasn't completely one-sided. I think
Yeah.
Regal sold well for him. Bloody nose aside, which I do think actually pissed him off.
Yeah.
If
I
it
would
didn't,
agree,
he
actually,
played
yeah.
it very well.
Yeah.
But it was a real streamer, wasn't it? It's like where
Yeah,
you
it
caught
was
one of the main
proper-
veins and it
proper
just
gush,
wouldn't
yeah.
stop.
It was, yeah, I don't know, just also, and obviously I think before this match it showed us a little clip, but as soon as I realised it was Tajiri, I was like, oh, is Tori Wilson going to feature here? Because I remember them
Really?
dating
I forgot
in
that.
quotation marks.
I don't believe it then. I don't believe it
No,
now.
I don't believe it, but I remember that being a thing.
Because she was married to Billy Kidman, who was on the roster at the time,
Yes,
former WCW
I
guy.
remember him.
But again, Tori Wilson came from WCW.
Oh, okay.
So interesting that they felt the need to leave that. But
Mm-hmm.
there was a couple of moments in this match which I liked, but I could see why someone wouldn't like it.
Oh, okay.
So the bit where
Let's see
Tajiri,
if I didn't like them.
I mentioned that Mick Foley was known to doing this.
Oh, the ropes.
Yep.
When he, yes, I've
So
written that
put
down.
his head,
Oh,
guillotined
and
himself,
twisted.
and then Regal pulls
Yes.
the legs. Brilliant.
That's got to hurt. Surely that's got.
Obviously,
At
Tajiri's
some
got his
point,
hands in.
that's got to do something.
And I think what Regal's effectively doing is just lifting his legs away.
Oh, I see. So
rather
not
than, he's
actually
probably
pulling.
taking the body weight
Yeah.
off him rather
Okay.
than anything. But it looked brilliant, and it shows that he's a nasty bastard who will take advantage of that situation. Like, instead of going, oh yeah, let the ref get him out, he's like, no,
Yeah.
bang, have that. And I thought
It
that was
looked
really
good,
good,
yeah, it did look
really
good.
good. And I believe that Tajiri was fine coming out of it,
Yeah.
so
True.
I wasn't particularly worried. Now, the double underhook powerbomb thing,
Mhm.
it's fine, but to me that doesn't feel like a Regal move. I know he did use it,
Yeah.
obviously, as he did in this occasion, but to me it's that stretch he did. So he did what John Cena wishes he could do
Oh,
with the
yes.
STF,
Yes.
because he's got that Regal stretch, I think they called it.
Yes.
That looks brutal.
Mhm.
Give me that. Double arm powerbomb is fine on a little guy's demeaning, but on a smaller competitor like
someone
Tajiri.
of smaller stature.
And I think it's because I wasn't, in my head, that's not his finish.
No, I know what you mean.
So I wasn't expecting the match to win. So when he didn't kick out, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was gutted that it finished and Regal actually won. I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't mind Regal winning.
I think it was just more the finish. I think it was just a bit like, oh, it's over.
I think the second part,
when he came back
match,
with that was a bit much for me.
So again, it was in the era where man on woman violence was deemed acceptable. To be fair, right, this is going to be. I have to be very careful with how I word this. So, to me, even if you're portraying in wrestling, okay, and a female competitor, without any provocation, goes up and hits a guy, if a guy then hits a wrestling move on her, I don't think that's out of line. Now, in real life, I'm not saying go around and suplex fucking women left, right, and centre, but the reason why this doesn't hold up well at all is because she's just a manager.
She did nothing.
She's nothing. She's like a delicate little flower who comes out to help her man and then gets the same treatment.
Yes, that was a bit unprovoked. Like, it was unnecessary, I thought. I mean, it worked for the story.
Yeah.
But I did watch it and I was like, oh, okay, this is the time.
I remember this bit, funnily enough. I don't remember the match, but I remember Tori Wilson coming out, not because I was a creepy little kid, but I just remember her getting, and I remember thinking, I want to fight William Regal now.
I think probably that's half the reason why it was done, because it probably provoked a lot of men watching
visceral reaction
to then not like him because of what he'd done to.
Because she struggled, even though she's obviously very dainty and light, she didn't take it that well. Because again, my missus was watching it, and he went, "Oh, that she didn't land well on that one." I said, "Yeah, she doesn't have the same athletic ability to." It was the rotation bit that didn't look right when your arms are behind. I said, but to be fair, Regal did it safely. Yeah. He looked after her. She'd be fine, but. Yeah, I remember that moment as she ran out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know what's coming here. We're gonna have to touch upon this."
Yeah,
but
quick question.
Yeah,
Regal was so posh.
Yes,
isn't he from Blackpool?
He's from Blackpool.
Why the fuck's he talking the way? I've got family from Manchester, as do you.
Yeah,
and Northern blood runs deep within us.
What's he supposed to do?
Why does he talk like that? Why is he just not talking like a normal?
All right, Vince, our kid.
But it just
sunshine.
I literally was like. I knew he was English.
Yeah.
And then it was only when they announced him, they're like, from Blackpool, England. I was like, Blackpool?
It's almost one of those...
Why is he not going like, oh, way up?
Like, I think it's like, it's either he suppressed the accent, or...
I'm sure
because you can still hear a little bit of the twang. When it's like how he ends words, it's like a...
People in America, and it's not against them, I'm just saying I appreciate they're not going to...
Yeah, of course.
They probably think all of us talk the Queen's English.
Which is how I think we talk. Well, you drift out with northern phrasing.
No, no is a standard.
You rarely use that word.
Oh, God, wow, yeah, totally lost my train of thought.
No, I just meant in general.
So I appreciate that. That's probably why, and it was his thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was English. Like his music was prim and proper. It was it, but I was just like, oh.
Do you ever remember his entrance theme was "He's a man, such a man"?
Yes,
brilliant.
It just really confused me. And the only other thing was I forgot how much I like listening to JR's voice in the background. It's like a smooth velvet.
It is like it's a bit. It's
great.
But I need it.
Again, he's got the twang.
Hook me up.
Great,
But for me, he's the quintessential commentator. So you've got as yours being Michael Cole.
Yes.
For me, it's always going to be JR because that's my era. Other people have done it very well, but I will always... And that's when I hear him on AEW, even though he's not able to necessarily keep up with the athleticism and the rate in which they go through the moves, I just love him. I love the guy, and he's been through so much as well.
Of course.
He's someone that I always felt bad with Vince effectively bullying him in a lot of scenarios. Obviously, a couple bouts of Bell's palsy.
Yeah.
I think he went through, I don't know if it was one or two, he definitely went through a divorce, and recently, a couple of years ago, lost his wife as well, who he absolutely cherished. Sad. So I wish nothing but the best for JR. And like I said, I certainly like to take the piss out of a lot of people, but for me, that's like kicking a puppy.
Yeah.
It's like you're having a go at your granddad.
The nicest person,
exactly, and I just can't bring myself to do that with JR. And I'm sure he was as politically motivated as so many other people in the locker room, but I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like I said, he's one of the family for me.
Oh, bless.
So I'll be gutted. Like, you know, you say certain deaths hit you harder than others, and I'm certainly not wishing ill upon them. Like recently, Matthew Perry, that hit different because that feels like my era.
Yeah,
so it feels like
you
even
grow up with these people, like
exactly. But in a way, it feels like, 'cause I feel like I got a bit old before my time, as it were. Even though he's got 20 years on me, I feel like he's a contemporary. So I feel like someone of similar age, which he isn't, has died, and it kind of hits differently for me.
I understand.
And I feel like as well, when you talk about like all these celebrities dying and stuff, and obviously this was always the case, people always die, always will, going forward, always have.
It's taking a dark turn.
No, but I guess my point that I'm trying to touch upon is, it feels like up until the age of 15, no famous people were dying.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have... I mean, obviously you had some big ones in our era of growing up, but no one that we would have been... This sounds harsh, but bothered about, because we were of that age up until that age where you think, you are selfish up till that age as a kid anyway.
Of course.
You don't think of anything else.
Yeah, well,
it's only as you get into later life that you actually go, oh shit, that's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah.
And then you resonate with it, and it does get harder.
And so, yeah, the Bray Wyatt one was obviously big.
Yeah, that was tough.
The first big death that I remember impacting me from a wrestling perspective was Eddie Guerrero. That one just hit different for me, because he was still going, still relevant. I remember there's a thing, as Holly will well know, that my mum seems to be somehow, not the Grim Reaper herself, but she will be on the phone line to them, and if someone has died that is of, in any respect, a level of fame, she will call me up, I'll tense up, and then she'll say, oh, by the way, did you hear this person died? And I remember her telling me about Eddie Guerrero dying. And I remember it was on the way, it was in the morning, and I think because I was being dropped off at my grandparents to be taken to school later on, because my mum went to work early, and she told me on the way there, and I just remember feeling flat the whole day, like the wind. It sounds ridiculous, but I remember kind of slumping in my seat as a result of that.
Like jamming at that age as well.
And when JR's time comes, that will hit me very much differently from a lot of the others, because it's the voice as well. Yeah, true, actually, yeah. Because you can think of matches, but when you don't hear that the voice is the person in many respects, it's just, that's going to be tough. But yeah, I do love JR, so I definitely agree with your point, which I feel like I turned into my own, unintentionally, but a bit selfishly there. So apologies. No, all good. Okay, so like I said, we've got the double arm power bomb to finish off the match. Tajiri's done. Then, like I said, Tori Wilson gets the same treatment. She sure does. There was a line on commentary. Oh, okay. I'm not going to have picked out. So they were talking about, so what's going to happen when one of the companies goes out of business? Heyman was making it a big thing, and he said, it'd be a shame to lose, like people like Tori Wilson and stuff like that. And JR said, I'm sure Regal could find her a position in his cabinet. Ooh. Heyman then said, I'm sure he could find many positions for her. Yes, no, I do remember hearing that, but I just didn't write it down. I do remember just being like, I wrote that down and I was like, that's clever. I like quick-wittedness as much as anything. I respect that. Okay, so we move on to a Holly appreciation match. Well, before you even get there, though, you've got some big old interlude. Do we? Yeah, did you? There was a backstage. There was I think there was like oh, hang on, where was it? It was it's Test backstage. Oh no, I've written that in the match. With the woman. Oh, see, no, to me that's not in the match yet. Fine, okay, well then let's not even get into the match itself. So we see a greasy, swollen rat of a man. So happy. Backstage. I freaking loved him as well. So basically, but I'm with him. That useless bitch Janet, not oiling him. Does she not know how that fucking light hits him when she goes out there? I hope she does. Because I've put here, I would do that better. I would have done. Brilliant. I tell you, I would have done. Yeah, you wouldn't get like Janet rolling her eyes. Does she not know her place? Does she not know how lucky she is? Who the fuck are you, Janet? Get back in your box. Lucky lady. Unbelievable. God. Unbelievable. Anyway, so, well, we know, I was joking when I said I wish she's dead. I was getting involved in how Tess we're looking at, but Tess is actually dead, isn't he? I keep forgetting about that. Sad. Really sad. So I put clueless, talentless woman. That's how I finished that. I was agreeing with Tess. Yeah. I was all about the Canadian boy. And I put Holly will have loved this match, regardless of quality. But we also get an Edge interview where he openly mocks the Canadian accent that he also has. I know, it's so stupid. Oh, what's that all about? Yeah, like it was weird. Great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tess has a very pronounced Canadian accent. I liked it when he said, "We can go and
Partey.
That was later in the show, wasn't it?
What?
Or was
No, it was here.
Yeah, of course, because Stacey came in, the Duchess of Dudleyville.
Yeah. It's like, afterwards we can...
How about wrong?
Partey.
I
was like, oh
comes before part B, usually that, yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay.
The former Mrs. George Clooney briefly.
Yes.
They weren't married, were they?
No.
But they were dating.
No.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, just what a fucking shit show that man is, I'll be honest.
Honestly.
There's something about him, because he's obviously, he was on all the medicine.
Yeah, so I
Steroids for
really
days.
liked Test, but not here.
Okay.
I didn't start to like him till he
Short hair.
had his short hair.
That was the worst.
I really liked him then, but then it made me really sad because I did watch another reality program,
Okay.
which was set in. It was called Wags. I don't really understand it, but it had Barbie Blank on it.
Okay.
Kelly.
Of course, they were together, weren't they?
Yes, and she didn't mention a lot of wrestling at all on it, and then she did because it was so sad actually. She went to a I want to call them a psychiatrist, a psychic. That's the one.
Very different.
Jesus.
Very different fields.
And she had a reading, and it was fine. And then it literally said to her, "Oh, there's someone here. Don't know who they are, but they said you can battle any test that you face." And she lost her shit, like cried, and I was like, "Oh my god, I was fascinated by this." And then she told the story of how they were dating for so long, how they found out he was dead, and that she truly believes that actually he looks over her, and I was like, oh, it's actually really nice.
It was the clue after the you can take on any test. It was the bit where afterwards it went test. This is the test, and she was like, oh shit, I think this has meaning.
But no, it really, I think up until obviously he had already died by that point, but I liked him.
You'd
before
imagine
then.
so, otherwise it's got less meaning.
I was just like, oh, because I knew he died at the time. But I didn't really look into it. Yeah, too much. And apparently they had to scale his balcony of his apartment to actually get in to find what had happened. And I was like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, he was...
It puts a different spin on it. When you see him looking like this, it just makes me a bit like...
But he always looked like this. He got worse, definitely, the way he looked. But I actually put a comment in the match itself, which seems appropriate to touch upon now, is that... And it's a little bit having a dig at his face because he looks like a gerbil.
He does look swollen
because he's got the swollen face, but he's got the little buck teeth coming out, so it's a little bit gerbil-like for me. But his skin tone is always sunburnt.
Yes, he's always.
And to me, it doesn't look
pink.
like you're tanning yourself. It's like your body is straining so much that all the blood has rushed to the surface, and I feel like you're an accident waiting to happen. Which
he was always
sadly,
very pink, which I didn't actually acknowledge.
Yeah, because that's not a normal hue for most humans. And Andrew Martin, I believe his real name was. It wasn't Adam Martin.
I don't remember.
But yeah, I think was it 2003, 4? He ultimately passed away, which is... I don't know, it can't have been.
No, I think it was later.
Must have been later than that, because, I mean, if Kelly was on the scene, she would have been like 5
Yeah, she was... I don't remember, but... Yeah. Sad.
It's sad, but... And so, as much as I've just insulted the massive gerbil...
2009.
2009, okay, that's... Yeah, fair enough. That's when Kelly started to kind of get a bit of renown. I think she was probably 2008 onwards, so fine. Because I know they did bring Tess back for a little bit in that period.
Yes.
And I don't know if he died when he was on their books, though, or if they let him go and then he died.
I don't know.
Not that it's relevant, it's more for me trying to get the chronology right in my head. So, other than the jokes were made about, obviously, Janet and Test and Edge mocking the accent, I said... Well, I start off by slagging him off in the match itself. So when he's got his, it's the chin rest hold where he's got his knee in his back and he's got his hands, I said he looks just like he's hyperventilating, like he's and again it's just making him go pinker and pinker, and I'm you know when you feel like a pulse shooting through you, I was like tensing up for being concerned about him. But what did you make of the match? Like what were your takeaways? What were your key moments in it?
It was alright. My first point is, honestly, I really come off hideously in this. Throw some jelly in there. Yep. Which is a standard comment I will say to most matches, as we know.
Yeah, what flavour?
Ooh, I think like a sour, like a lime jelly.
Strawberry every day.
Oh no, that's saved for the pinnacle. I think that's the best one.
Oh, okay, that's the best one. Right, so I best not have any wrestling matches, otherwise loads of strawberry jelly there.
I did enjoy it. There was some, I don't know, just again peaked and troughed. I liked that their ring gear was different. for me. Like Edge's was bright and vibrant. Like he was meant to be the eyepiece, I think, for me. Like I focused on him more. Obviously he's pretty, but because he was wearing bright colours for me.
They're the stereotypical outfits that both of them wear. So when I think about their normal gear and I think about retro Edge, I'm either thinking about these blue types or the mahogany, not mahogany, burgundy coloured ones. Test is wearing exactly what I expect him to, like the shiny grey.
See, I don't remember him wearing them. I remember him wearing pants.
Oh, the blue, the short blue ones. No, the main Test era was all this basically, and it was always the same colour. I don't know how many different pairs he had.
I remember looking and being like, oh, and then also I remember looking and going, wasn't his move the big boot? And he didn't have, like his feet weren't that big. I'm sure they were in real life, but looking, I was like, where are the big boots? Because he used to wear, what I remember him wearing, pants or whatever, and a big set of boots. And I was like,
I think it's because the trousers were loose fitting.
Yeah, probably. And I was just like, oh, this is really confusing my little brain.
So after he had that chin hold on Edge, I should have said actually that what was at stake in this match. So it was for the combined United States and Intercontinental title matches. One would go away, one would stay. So again, I don't think Test had any affiliation with the Alliance. So I don't know why he's there. I think Edge did do a couple of dark matches for WCW once, but neither had really any business being associated with them. But
they were just having a match, and then they had to give one of them one side.
Yeah, effectively. I mean, they didn't. Did they do it for? Oh, they did do it for all of them. Of course they did. I mean, it was the main premise of the show. But so after he had the resting chin hold on Edge for a bit, taking the world's most challenging shit, there was a couple of really impressive spots that I thought he did. The tilt-a-whirl slam, so where Edge runs towards him, Test picks him up, flips him around in the air, slams him down.
Yes.
Very impressive, very clean. And he hit him with that, what's it called? Like the pump handle slam thing that he did.
Oh, I've got that, yeah.
Very clean. Test, impressive.
I put impressed. Really impressed me. Also, aren't you impressed? I knew what it was.
What, the pump handle slam?
Yeah.
Well, it's got the word pump and handle and involved Test and Edge, so I imagine you'd find out what it was called one way or the other, to be perfectly honest.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. But
Sunset Flips were in this as well.
Yes.
Get them out, please.
Not
This was way before Rollins.
Okay,
obviously.
yeah.
But I just can't watch them. I don't like it. No one ever looks sturdy. I said this before. I shan't bore anyone and say it again. I don't like them.
I think as well, and we definitely touched upon this in the past, is when a bigger man goes up the turnbuckles to take flight, when it's outside of what he normally does and isn't like essential life or death.
Yes.
Like, I guess you could argue that, you could be, in theory, storyline wise, out of a job if you lose the match.
Yeah.
But seeing Test inexplicably go to the top turnbuckle to jump to then get hit with the drop kick and the bollocks nearly.
Test once again proving why big guys should not go to the top rope.
That is effectively the point that I was trying to make there.
Yep.
So I've credited him with the tilt-a-whirl slam, the pump handle slam, both very clean. And this is the biggest compliment I could give him, although it's a relatively low bar in comparison to the other person.
Same.
He hits the spear a million times better than Edge does.
I put that as well.
That's one of the better spears I've seen.
Yes, I put.
Apart from Rhino's gauze.
Really enjoyed him doing the spear.
Works.
Definitely think
Give
he should
him
keep it. Yeah.
Edge has got big feet. Let him kick someone in the head.
Yeah.
Or just,
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really good spear.
Sounds silly to say, I enjoyed that.
No,
but
no.
It just works for him, and he actually executed it.
Because he's
really
big unit, and
well.
he went in with pace.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was very, very impressive. So what do you think about the reverse where Edge Hurricane Runned out of a move and then Test, it's basically the ending sequence, then Test turns around, runs into a tame spear.
Yes. I've really confused myself by the notes that I've written.
Okay.
Because I've put the reversal into the bin was very smooth.
Pin.
Obviously it's the pin.
Spear.
But
pin.
I was like, what? But that makes sense. It was smooth according to me.
Yeah, so it was a roll up that ended it. So because I thought, I was convinced, when you feel like you know a little bit too much about the workings of wrestling, when Edge hit the spear after the Hurricane Run, I thought that's going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
So when Test kicked out, because I remember the result of this one, I was like, I've forgotten that.
Yeah.
And then the roll up, normally I dislike a roll up depending on how it's executed. This one was fine. I didn't really have an issue too much with this. The match itself, apart from the moments that I think I give Test more credit than I give Edge, which is surprising because I wouldn't have thought that going into it. It was okay. It wasn't a bad match.
No, it wasn't.
The moments that in it were really good. Like I said, the power spots from Test, very nice. But I weirdly enjoyed both the matches that went before it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what your takeaway it was from the match, but Edge obviously with a roll up to secure the unified United States and Intercontinental titles. Happy with the result, I assume?
Obviously, always.
Yeah.
I did put though, and this is I'm not trying to cause a segue, but watching Test, and obviously it's not a similar story because one of them is still here, but his body mannerisms reminds me so much of Big Cass.
Yeah.
And it's not just because they're big guys. It was a lot of like their stature, the way his ability. Maybe not so now, but when Big Cass first started, like his thing was just I'm a big guy.
Is it one of those things? But, carry on.
No, but like obviously I like watching him now. He's apart from his horrendous ring name,
Big Bill.
He's someone actually I'd love to come back.
I'm not fussed.
I'd really like to have him come back.
He was nothing without Enzo.
Oh yeah, true.
I won't do the impression. I'll save that for another day because that will break you for a little while if I do that, like it did when I last did that for you.
It just reminded me of Big Cass, and I guess that's the whole point, really.
In ring wise, I don't know how true it is, but theoretically speaking, that's not a bad competitor for someone like a Big Cass to look up to. Because if you're looking for someone, because realistically, you've got to work with what you've got.
Yeah.
So
there's not that many guys of that stature.
You're not going to be Undertaker. You're not going to be Kane. You're not going to be. I mean, I guess Kevin Nash, but he was very much of his era. That stuff doesn't work anymore. So Test. Realistically speaking, I understand. Obviously, not the extracurricular stuff. Although Cass went down a bit of a.
He's got a bit of a happier ending. But
well,
obviously.
So far, absolutely. Because I think Test came clean. Well, I say came clean. I think he might have come off it, but the damage had been done at that point. So let's hope that Big Cass doesn't have a relapse with the issues that he was having. But I completely get where you're coming from, and it's not a bad comparison to make. Although I do think the initial basis is predicated on them being fairly big guys, but the rest of the similarities don't have to correlate, and they kind of do. Mm-hmm. I think Test as a single star has more upside. If they were around in the same era and I was backing the horse, I'd back Test. Yeah. Not by a great deal.
Because I'm pretty sure, didn't they even give Big Cass the big boot?
Yeah, but I think everyone over
obviously because he's
has a big boot.
Like Undertaker does, I know. Do you know what I mean?
Did.
But
Diesel did.
It just really just because he's there big.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a bit odd.
Well, it just kind of makes sense. Like if I can, because I guess it looks impressive.
It does because their stature's so big, and their leg span is obviously a lot longer.
Yeah,
as well,
just make sure you've got to
stretch the
hammies. Yeah, you don't want to be coming up short and causing yourself a mischief, do you?
No,
I'm sure you're there for that as well. Before we segue too hard.
Absolutely.
But so the match was okay, and it brings the tally back to Alliance 2, WWF 1. So they're still in the game. Okay, now we go to another of the many backstage segments.
Jesus.
So I'll let you finish the sip of beer and talk through it, so we kind of hide the fact that that's happening.
Okay.
And go into what were your thoughts on this backstage segment, because I've got very strong thoughts.
Is this right? So the comments on this backstage segment aren't really. I think I'd become null and void to these segments by this point. I'll be honest. I was bored of them. But is this the one?
Was there a Freddo?
Look. There may have been.
Was there a Freddo?
Yeah. Probably.
Was it a one Freddo show or?
No.
Oh, and you haven't mentioned a Freddo yet.
Not,
so okay.
No.
Well, I don't want to give any spoilers.
No, there are some to come. But was this the segment that had Jeff in it, or was that the next one?
So
because I got overly excited when Jeff was
the one I'm talking about leads into that one.
Oh, it started with a little comment saying the acting skills here are really being pushed to the max.
So is that Stephanie McMahon?
None.
So, okay.
She's a brilliant businesswoman. Brilliant.
Is she?
Yeah.
You sure?
Now.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what she went and studied at college. I think it might have actually been, to be fair, business management, so I might be doing her disservice. But it's one of those things for me where and again, I could very much be wrong on this. Yeah. When you come from the position that she has, every opportunity you needed is there in front of you.
Very gifted.
Just hit the microphone. But how much of that is ability or just the fact that you're put in the position? I'm not saying she then didn't own it.
No, I see your point.
And grow into it, but would she, if she was Joe Blogs on the street,
would have had that? Yeah, no, probably not. Yeah.
So when she's done well with what she's been given,
yes, that's probably a better way of saying.
And I appreciate that's a dickish comment from me, but I don't know how much it's. So to give you an example, to put it back to an actual sport, football. Pep Guardiola manages Manchester City. Talks about as one of the best managers of all time, and his track record would indicate that. For me, and I'm not saying he isn't a good manager, he clearly is, he's always been managing the top clubs. Put him in the...
Give him a shit one and see how good he is.
And then I'm not saying he couldn't do something amazing with it, but until we see
I see
the
what
opposite,
you're saying. Yeah,
we
he's
don't
always
know.
been gifted with the good teams anyway. Like,
which is what the kind of correlation I'm making with Stephanie.
Makes sense.
So,
but just fucking acting skills, man. Just from everyone, not just her.
Kurt Angle.
Oh, honestly, just have a normal have a normal chat. Like.
Kurt Angle's the right kind of goofy. So as much as I like his intense persona that we covered at One Night Stand, goofy Kurt Angle, as you would say, I'm all for.
Okay, yeah.
I don't mind it. It works, and which shows his skill set, being able to realistically portray both different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Granted, it's not the best here, but
no,
it's not. He's not the issue.
Amusing.
He's not the issue
he
I
is
have
not the
in
issue.
this segue. No. My issue. So I've got here Stephanie looking like that white girl who goes to the Caribbean and gets piss poor white girl dreads.
No.
Because she thinks she'll fit in with the locals.
I can't agree with you on that.
I haven't finished.
Okay.
Feel free to jump all over afterwards.
You carry on.
And I said she's also the type of person that would claim to have done humanitarian work during the summer in Somalia, and which like every conversation would go back to, when I was building that mud hut out there, in the gap year with that hair's man hair, like that kind of thing. And it's just, so you liked that hair? No,
I'm not saying I liked it, but I remember that era, and that was a thing. There was machines. There was like battery-powered machines that would twist your hair and do that, and every girl had them.
Okay,
so I remember this. I remember it being awful. But
my next question is she fucking 13?
No.
Then what are you doing?
But I don't think it was just 13-year-olds that were doing it.
Clearly not, based on the state of this bitch. What? I mean...
Also, she ain't fucking doing her own hair.
Well, that's even worse.
There's people doing it to her.
Imagine going, can you give me this shit like My Little Pony hair accessorizer?
Nah, I can agree with most things, but I don't agree with the hair comment. I did make a comment on that earlier. I just didn't mention it because I didn't think it was relevant. Little did I know you were going to bring it up now.
Oh, okay.
Knowing that how... how many people had these contraptions that did this to our hair. We all did them for school discos and...
age appropriate.
Yeah, but I don't remember anyone older. Like, I didn't look up to celebrities and that.
Well, no, that's fair
age,
enough.
So I wouldn't have known.
But for me, it was just that it's the same thing as when you get... So there's a bit in Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they go to the Jersey Shore and Dee gets her hair braided immediately with seashells in and stuff like that.
Like when Monica does it in Friends.
Basically, but she does it to keep the humidity in the hair down. That I get. Humidity. But this is just like I'm so in touch with the locals kind of thing. It wasn't as... Again,
it just irks you for some reason.
It irks me. I found it irksome. Okay. And it was also before her voice broke. Which I didn't know women got.
I didn't realise how annoying her voice was back then. And then all of a sudden, years later, she started speaking normally. And then I was like, yeah, okay, now I'll listen.
But it's like, I think, my theory on this is, so Triple H, who he dated before he got together with Stephanie, the late China, Joni Laura, I'm going to say. Sure. She was a bigger, muscular woman. Yeah, she
was stacked.
She was yoked. Then she got feminised in many respects. And I just wonder if that was, without being spoken, encouraged by Triple H when he started dating Stephanie, because she was a very sweet, innocent thing. She was a good-looking girl. I'm not going to say she wasn't. She got the implants, which was referenced in
standard wrestling implants.
Chris Jericho made a promo on it, which was very famous. I read it in his book, which is a very good book. I'd recommend you do. I think it was in A Lion's Tale. I don't think it was in one of the others. And he got a little bit of trouble with Vince McMahon about that. Like, don't draw attention to. So like, how can you not draw attention to it? It's like she's gone from what she was to what she is now. You can't hide from that. You might as well use it for a cheap laugh out of the crowd. But around that time, then she started to kind of get a more muscular frame. I'm not saying that's bad or good, but then her voice started going with it. So I don't know if that's a supplementary.
I don't know.
I don't know that having never taken anything that would build physique, I'm just wondering if the voice, because I know women's voices do get a bit deeper, but not to the extent of Night and Day like Stephanie's did.
Gosh, I better not take any. I'd have a real man's voice.
You don't have a man's voice. Okay, this is one of, like I said, Holly is very self-critical, as anyone who knows her will agree.
Good deep voice.
I would say you have, on the female spectrum, you have a deeper female voice, but
Yeah.
at no point do I think that's a manly voice.
Well, thank God for that. But
My
it's
voice
deeper.
is a higher man's voice than yours is a woman's deep voice, I think.
We're pretty much level.
Yeah, so we level out somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah,
Yeah, we're pretty
we're
similar.
voice twinning.
Nice.
Yeah, we kind of cross
Nice.
in the middle somewhere. But yeah, so effectively the gist of this little skit is Steph fears becoming a muggle. She doesn't want to have to do her own shopping.
Oh God, yeah,
have
that
to
bit.
go and wipe
Yeah,
her
definitely.
own arse. She doesn't want to do any of this. She likes the
Stops
trappings
listening.
of being the $1 billion princess,
Mhm.
which I could only assume I'd feel the same in her position.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But now we go into Holly's happy place,
Yes.
and I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Oh, I was so happy because I didn't know this was coming. I'll be honest. You spoiled me with this show. Really did.
I thought so.
Yeah. So this
Jeff
is the
Hardy.
bit where he's there.
Jeff
And I was
Hardy's
like,
there. Mesh top.
oh, so happy.
Mesh
honestly.
top, checking his elbow, what was poor little elbow, flexing it
Mhm.
out with a cap because he's
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, blue hair because he's a fucking Smurf or whatever. I don't know.
He had different colour hair every week.
Talking
Leave
to
him alone.
Lita, and this is where my
Mhm.
missus actually turned round and put
Okay.
a comment because she looked up and I could see she was squinting at the screen
Yeah.
and she went, "Oh, Lita's got a manly face."
Okay.
Normally, I don't think she does, but I actually could see what Emma said. It was very angular jaw,
Square jaw, yeah.
pronounced, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh," and I felt like for the rest of the segment, I was just
Yeah, I
analysing her
felt-
jaw.
I mean, I later commented on Lita's body and
Yeah.
how absolutely phenomenal it was. But she looked a lot more lean and trimmed down here than she had before. So I just wonder if she's got a square set jaw. Like, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
But obviously because she's trimmed down, it was more apparent. Whereas before,
yeah, that's fair.
or other matches on shows we've seen, we haven't noticed that because she, okay, her body is amazing. But I haven't seen her on any of the shows we've watched so far where she's had an actual six-pack.
Okay,
And she did here.
good point. Because I'm, again, window into my life, I find abs on a woman
Mhm.
off-putting.
Okay.
Because it's a
I love it.
masculine
Thanks, great.
trait.
Yeah.
But what, on a woman, you mean?
Yeah, I would kill for abs.
No.
But-
Like the soft outline, I don't mind.
Right.
But when you can actually see the proper definition in there,
Mhm.
for me it's too much. And I agree with you
Okay.
because Em actually said, I didn't realise she had abs.
Yeah.
And I said, I hadn't spotted that either.
Yeah, so I think she
and I
was
think
just,
you've got a point.
I think she'd lean, like she was very lean at that point, and then
Yeah.
it just drew.
She didn't look bad for it.
No,
and
not
I mean,
at
she's not going out there to please little
Exactly.
Scott Barham,
No.
12 years of age. I get that. But yeah, but as soon as Em put the spotlight on it, it was all I could see in that little segment. And then basically, they're questioning, is Matt's head in the right place?
Yes.
So-
And they did also try and push on the topic of, oh, is Lita flirting with Jeff?
Yes.
No, she's fucking not.
Which, from recollection, talking about that storyline, I don't think they were comfortable with that. I don't think Jeff and
No.
Lita wanted to be involved
Absolutely
in
not.
this.
And in the end, we know how that turned out anyway. She started banging Edge in it anyway, so it didn't really
I think
matter.
I think she banged CM Punk at one point as well.
Gosh.
I'm pretty sure. Speaking of someone who
for
got through the locker room, good for him.
Yes,
To be
but
fair,
why
yeah.
not?
Yeah, absolutely. In for a penny. But again, the common theme of the night is sowing the seeds of dissension, not just
Yes.
on the Alliance side,
No,
the WWF
both sides,
side
yeah.
as well. And and again, the other comment that my wife made when Matt Hardy came out of the locker room,
Mhm.
mentioning, "Oh yeah, Jeff's way better looking,"
Mm,
'Cause there was
isn't
that-
he just?
that was that area of questioning at WrestleMania 17 where you look at Matt and go, "Not bad actually."
Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah,
handsome
yeah.
guy. And then this one, you're like, "No, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, what was I thinking?"
Yeah.
So I was back on team Jeff Hardy being the
Yay.
good-looking one. So we then
Yes.
go straight into the match.
Oh,
So,
lovely.
unifying the tag team titles now.
Yes.
We've got the Dudleys defending the WCW tag team
Mhm.
titles, a company they never competed in,
Oh, okay.
against
Didn't know
the
that.
Hardy
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Boys defending the WWF tag team titles. Dudley Boys were very big in ECW, as I mentioned to you before.
Yeah.
ECW tag titles didn't carry over, they just kept the WCW ones. So the claim that Paul Heyman made early as they come into the ring is the Dudley Boys are the only team to have held the WWF, the WCW and the ECW tag team championships.
Okay.
Yes, but can you really credit them with the WCW one, seeing as it was in the WWF?
Right.
They didn't win it in the
Oh, I
promotion
see.
before it was under the auspices of WWF.
Okay.
So, fair enough, it is still an
Yeah,
accolade,
but
and
it's
that
not.
still remains true now. They're the only ones to have done that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who else is going to do it? WCW's
Yeah.
been dead for God knows how long. 22 years now at this point? God, we're old. But, going into... You took the bullets on that one with me on that. I couldn't just make myself old.
Oh, God.
So it's a tag team match.
Yep.
Obviously, because it's tag team titles. It's in a cage.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it being a caged tag team match?
I'll be honest, I was a bit confused because I don't recall, like, I don't know, it really confused me how they're in a cage. One of them still stood on the outside of the ring.
Right.
And they're still tagging in and out.
Okay.
And I was like, if you're all in a cage, just all fucking fight at the same time.
See, I knew we were friends for a reason. Right. So I was actually getting animated, and this was one of those moments where I really struggled not to message you about watching this show.
Yeah.
I was saying to Emma, and Emma, she was getting an ear bashing from me on this one. I said, okay, I don't mind a tag team match in a cage.
Yeah.
Make it tornado rules.
Yeah.
Because if there's no rules, why are you tagging in? Two of them just beat the shit out of one of them. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There's what you're going to say, oh, you have to tag. Why? Disqualify me. Oh, I can't.
It didn't make sense,
Stupid.
I'll be honest. And I just, also part of me went, well, just climb out straight away.
But that kind of plays into the story.
Yes,
later
I know.
on, which
really
is
fucking annoying.
is good. So the match itself, just as a general overview, brilliant.
Oh, I loved it.
Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely loved it.
Best match of the night, I think.
By far
comfortably for me. It wasn't a great deal of competition, but really, really solid match.
Really
Always
good.
is with these tag teams anyway. I mean, the only thing missing, I guess, Edge and Christian, but they were doing their own things on the night. And we see, like I said, the only thing I really hated about it was the fact that they had to tag in and out.
Yeah.
It works, but the cage...
It worked, but it didn't make sense.
No, it didn't make sense. There's no logic. That kind of takes you out the moment. As a kid, I doubt I would have thought anything of it.
No, I wouldn't question
But looking
it.
at it now, I'm like, it's done.
Because
Don't mind
also
the cage,
then
but make it tornado.
you can see, like, the filming as well, you can see, obviously it's through a cage, but your vision is distorted because it's through a cage.
Yeah.
And then they're still trying to tag in and out, and I'm just like, a lot of it I was like, I can't really see that well unless you're in there, and they're not. Whereas now, they do those matches where you've got a cameraman in the poor freaking...
In Hell in a Cell, you certainly do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And those are brilliant. But I don't know. It did confuse me a little bit.
So there's different setups for different companies. So TNA, back in the day when Dusty Rhodes was the booker there, so Cody Rhodes' dad, was the booker, and he created or helped create the Lethal Lockdown, I think it was called, which is a 6-sided cage, effectively. And what they had in there is they actually had cut out holes where a cameraman would have a platform to stand it outside but put the lens of the camera through the cage so you can still get a perspective. I guess that's good for the audience at home. I don't know how much it obstructs for those there in person.
And that's probably why I suppose back in the day they wouldn't do those things, because you are blocking the view of people that have actually paid to be there.
But I guess my point, there are workarounds to the situation, whether good or otherwise. Yeah. But the content of the match, well paced.
Yes.
We saw another bloody nose. Matt Hardy, well, bloody nose, bloody mouth.
Yeah.
I think that was from going face first into the cage with the flapjacks. But there were a lot of points. I think I made almost as many notes on this as I did the main event, but not quite. Well, actually, before we go into that, I skipped a very, very key part of the promo. Oh, I say the promo, the little segue between the matches.
Yeah.
We see Trish Stratus.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I overlooked that. And then someone who was...
Lack of eyebrows.
Yeah, that was weird. But someone who was sat on the sofa with me just piped up and said, seeing as I know what your type is, I cannot believe you found her attractive. She's so opposite everything you like. And I went, I was 12 and horny. Like, what...
You have to take your age into consideration at that point, Yeah,
different game at that point as far as I was concerned. Yeah. But it's not one of her better looks, to be fair. Like you said, the eyebrows, something doesn't look quite right there. But
it was the era where they hated eyebrows. Girls literally had to, at school, at this age, girls shaved their eyebrows off and drew them on so they looked exactly like that. This is why life is a struggle now to grow them back. It's horrendous.
Nothing wrong with your eyebrows.
No, I know, but like... there are a lot of girls my age now that will understand the eyebrow issue.
Well, I never understood it. Why would you shave it off to put back what's there?
Oh, it's weird.
It's bizarre, but I guess I don't understand fashion at the best of times for men, let alone women. But yeah, so that was the first official sighting of my childhood crush, Trish Stratus, on WWF events. So, in the match itself, the first point of the actual contest, apart from me spotting Matt Hardy's bloody mouth later on, was Jeff Hardy must have forgot he was wearing a cap.
He just threw it off at one point.
Because he started the match and then was like, oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, took it off.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he forgot he had it on.
Yeah, probably.
But again, it gets the women excited because he takes off an item of clothing for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got so distracted by this that halfway through I had to rewind and go back to the beginning because I forgot I was meant to be taking notes.
Brilliant. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's good you went back and took the notes, because that made this bit a little bit painful to kind of work our way through. But it shows that it drew you in.
Yeah.
For the right reasons, the wrong reasons, the Jeff Hardy reasons.
Yeah.
You were there for it. I don't assume a Freddo had been consumed.
Not for this.
Not to this, but had one been consumed up to this point?
Had I had one at this point? No, I don't think I had actually.
Oh, wow, okay.
No,
right,
I think I'd lasted quite long.
You've done very well then. Lack of Freddo.
I know.
I need to get Freddos in as well. I feel left out on this little tradition.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
No, apparently not. But a couple of poetry emotions, and I've written that down because I know the name of the move now.
Yes.
I've remembered it. I may have written down poetry emotion every time I saw it, so you might hear me just shout that move periodically. Done very well.
Yeah.
No
Always,
missteps from Jeff.
Always is.
No, there's one that I remember being horrendous. If we get to the point of watching, which I'm sure we probably will, Royal Rumble 2001.
Oh, okay,
Awful.
right.
Awful. But top rope Bubba Bomb, and that's very difficult to say, is horrendous because I'd rather land on my back than my arse.
Yeah.
It, again, looked good, but I was just thinking that can't be pleasant. There's no way to take that, which I don't think sucks.
No.
I mean, talk about like spinal injuries and impacts, especially with someone like Jeff Hardy, because I'm pretty sure that's who it was hit on.
Yep. Literally ragdolled. This whole match, I felt like he was just ragdolled.
That's what he's there for, though, isn't it?
I know that is what he's there for, but
I mean, Christ, he does it to himself.
I know.
The best of times.
But yeah, that one, I think there's a camera angle quite close up as well when you think, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but specifically the Bubba Bomb, I remember looking nasty. It was good. It was well done. They also hit a Doomsday device, so you don't know what that is, but it's effectively, I was about to say, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom's finisher. You probably don't know who they are. So it was the moment where I believe Bubba had one of the Hardys on his shoulders, sat on his shoulders, went to the corner. Devon jumped off the corner.
Oh, yeah, I know that is,
him off. So that was a finishing move by the Legion of Doom. That looked very nice. That was well done. The reason I tend not to like that move is because, aesthetically it looks good, but back in the 80s when the Legion of Doom started using this move, there are a couple of big meaty bastards. In fact, one of them, Animal, is John Laurinaitis' brother.
Yes, that's where I know it from. Yeah.
So that's the connection there that will help you know who I'm talking about. But they did it quite recklessly, and they always did it as jobbers, and it's just kind of a complete disregard for the other person's well-being. Where when Hawk would jump off the rope to hit with a clothesline, Animal would go and throw the legs off so they couldn't fall backwards and land cleanly.
Okay.
They would have to flip, and you see them land on their head, neck, and shoulders. And a few people have been quite badly injured doing that. Especially they did it to a manager, JJ Dillon, in a War Games match, and it wasn't entirely their fault because it was a cage with a top on it in War Games, and it was too short for him to be sat up there, fall back. So they tried to help him, and he ended up landing on his shoulder and broke his shoulder. Wow. Basically. Okay. So I prefer this version. Although it doesn't look like as impactful, but probably because it's not, it's safer. It looked good when the Dudleys did it on the Hardys. Yep. Bubba bounces, doesn't he? It's like a fucking rubber ball. Tubby bastard. Like every time bounces, I just started naming him Bubba the Bouncy Ball.
He's got a nice rebound.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. He's got a little bit of sponge in him, bless him. I thought he sells quite well, but he borderlines oversells.
Yes, he does.
For me.
Yep.
I assume that was probably one of your notes for this match.
You've just ticked that off, yep.
So I don't want to be ticking off your list.
It gets to a cusp for me. No, I will just jump in when, but there was one bit, I can't remember where it was, but Jeff rolls out of a move or something and then just is propelled. They propel him halfway up on the cage, and you think...
And he catches it.
All right, lovely, brilliant.
Clever.
Like a little monkey.
But I guess it's like a little cheeky monkey.
Yeah.
But I guess then that puts the jeopardy of, well, if he escapes, he's left Matt in there. And I think pinfalls obviously can win it. So why would you do it?
Well, yeah, and obviously, he, it didn't work out that way. But I was just a bit like, huh, okay. You've got two people here that are effectively, again, it's powerhouses to me versus agility.
Comparatively speaking, I wouldn't have said Devon's a powerhouse, but yeah,
but they're
more so.
More stocky and
for sure
than those two. And again, I'm putting them both into... I'm literally just putting one against the other. So you've got Jeff, who is agile and, and Matt is, but not as much as Jeff. Whereas, you've got Bubba and Devon. So just putting them as
Fine.
branching them all in one.
I thought they used the cage quite well throughout.
They did, actually. For them, it was a good, what is the word? Accessory.
Fine.
That's the one.
Bit like
It just
the
gave
hair
it a bit
accessory.
more. It just gave it a bit more extra something than
Yeah.
the standard. Let's give them another
'Cause
table, ladders, chairs match.
When it comes to like matches such as cage matches, I always feel like it's sometimes improved with blood, because if there's no additional implication on it, what's the difference of just having a normal match?
Yeah.
Obviously, Matt got the bloody lip, but that wasn't supposed to be the case. But I didn't feel like it missed blood in the match. It didn't need it.
No,
The
it didn't
match
need it at
itself
all,
was good.
actually.
And there was one particular moment with Matt being wedged between the cage and the ropes, and then Bubba full on sprinted at him,
Yes.
and I was like, "Oh!" I audibly made that noise.
That's you got to feel something from
'Cause-
that, regardless of whether it's real or not. Someone's running into you.
Yeah, and then the steel cage moved enough that I thought if Matt had like taken a step forward, he just slips right out, and then the cage trapped him in between the apron and the floor, and I was like, that would have been quite unpleasant. But a move that was well done all the same.
Yeah.
We see a what's up. Sorry, well, I can't say it.
Of course we do.
Of course we do, because it's absolutely standard. And shortly after that, we see the Duchess of Dudleyville getting involved
God.
in the action, where she's, shall we say, trying to seduce.
Ask for keys.
Asked for keys.
That's what I wrote down.
Asked for keys.
Ask for keys.
Oh, I thought you said she asked.
No.
For keys. Asked for keys. She can have the keys. She can have the keys.
For keys.
So yeah, she literally gets. It's a full moon in Greensboro. And she goes up and suggestively, I don't know if she kisses him or was just talking in his ear.
I think she supposedly whispers in his ear, and then
pickpockets him.
Feels around in his pocket and gets the keys. Which the concept of which I understand. It's that era though, isn't it? It's again, the women were used for what they were there. Exactly. Yep. And I was just like, yeah, okay. And even so, she gets the keys, she unlocks it, he looks and goes, oh dear. She's got time to put a fucking table in there.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Devon didn't even have to get it.
No. You might as well just look and just go, all right, cool. Like...
yeah, cheers, love.
That part of the segment was pointless to me.
Yeah.
That she might as well have whispered in her ear, lifted her skirt up, and him handed her the keys. Yeah. Because...
that would have worked.
That would have worked.
Because he was a WWF ref as well.
Yes.
So he was on
might as well
their
just
side.
Given her the keys and walked off.
She could have taken anything she wanted, to be honest. His dignity, his whatever, his wallet. Mm-hmm. Why stop there?
Oh, I'd have taken credit cards, everything.
The whole thing, PIN numbers, like security codes.
Because you just leave them in your pocket, right?
I always have them in my pocket. It's just in case a woman just flashes her ass at me in public.
In case Stacey Keebler's there to lift her tiny
over.
little skirt up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I don't even think it was a skirt, was it? It was like shorts.
I don't really remember, I'll be honest.
No, I wasn't paying attention to the details of that either.
No, I don't think you would be.
Disgusting, quite frankly. I didn't ask for jelly, so who's worse, me or you?
Jesus.
Jesus isn't worse. He's not involved. But after that moment, we see Matt escape.
Right.
Are you dumb?
I was so angry.
Are you dumb?
I was so angry. And I know it's the point of the wrestling. I know it's the point of to get to the end game.
Yeah.
But this is when I watched it and I just went, oh, okay. It's over now.
It told the story well, but it was dumb.
Because
it just makes him look an idiot. At what point,
you're fucking off. Yeah. Oh, your brother's here. Also, we know what he's going to do because he hasn't jumped off anything yet.
Yeah.
So maybe stay until he does that, and then at least there's two of you.
Well, quite.
But no, you fuck off.
Yeah.
He climbs to the top. Of course, he's going to swanton bomb off.
Yeah, well...
Do we know who he is? Of course he is.
I said in the comment, it makes Matt look as dumb as his accent sounds.
Yes.
Like,
no,
it was...
well, I'm agreeing
you
with...
said yes.
No, I'm agreeing with...
That. You said yes.
It makes him look dumb.
But
I like the accent.
No, it's a bit too...
No,
Jeff's isn't as bad. Matt's is really... I swear Matt's is getting more so over time. It doesn't normally faze me, but I thought it was a good line, I'll be honest, to write down when I saw him do that. And then, Jeff ascends the top of the cage.
And it's spectacular. Like,
well done,
it's
well aimed.
Great, brilliant. And then, but he did go through that table and you do sit there and you just go, oh, at no point is this feeling not like it doesn't hurt. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest.
They land them a certain way.
The table, it would hurt less with the table there than if it wasn't there, for sure, because the table breaks the fall. I think, if I was a betting man, and I don't know this because I've never had either, thankfully, happen to me, but I reckon that Bubba bomb would have hurt more than that senton bomb did, because he landed it so cleanly.
Yeah, it probably does. It's just a culmination of
But yeah,
everything, but also falling from that height. It's because effectively that's what you're doing. Yes,
Well,
you're
yeah.
landing flat on your back, but it
how
is
do you learn to fall, as JR said?
Wow.
Well, like they do, because they're professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
That is part of the training.
But it's, I don't know, the end just wound me up because I just thought, okay, it was perfect for the storyline, it was perfect
Yeah.
for the rest of everything else that
Mhm.
happened. But I just got annoyed because Matt's out there going, no, well, you fucking left him in there, you idiot.
Yeah.
So
And we see
this is
Bubba,
stupid.
Bubba crawl over, put the arm over,
Of course.
1, 2, 3. The
Bosh,
Dudleys are the
done.
unified tag team title holders. Again, I didn't like. I thought a lot of it was dumb. The match was great, really good match.
I really
Well
did.
done to
Apart
all-
from the end annoyed me, but
Yeah,
the
well
match
done
itself,
to all 4
good.
men. But Matt's dumb moment, Jeff's dumb moment. How much sympathy can you have for a bunch of idiots? Like if you continue to be dumb and you're not learning the lesson, then I need to learn the lesson to care less about you, because it just seemed dumb.
Yeah.
The dumbest part of the entire match, I thought, was actually after it finished.
Yeah.
Is when they were trying to get Jeff out to lift the cage. You don't need the cage anymore.
I know.
And like these medical experts are getting
ENTs,
mangled like
yeah.
cat turds trying
And
to come out of the
also,
ring.
I always bring it back to this. Obviously, he was all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I haven't fell from this, but having been someone where they thought there was a serious neck injury, the first thing they said was, do not touch her.
Yeah.
Do not touch, do not touch. Until I was like, I'm fine, like I can move my arms and legs. They're fucking all over him. So thank God there was nothing wrong with him, because they've jiggled him around so much that
Well, then they
Thank
had to like
God
get him
there
sit
wasn't-
up to
Yeah,
push him
no.
under the rope, hit
And
his head
then-
on the cage and stuff.
then put him on a stretcher.
Yeah,
Mate,
done.
just make him walk now, because you've already bashed him around more than he had in the cage.
So it ends on it's bookended by 2 very dumb things.
Yes.
The fact it was not tornado rules, and the fact that they just didn't do anything
Yeah.
right in terms of the post-medical care after the match itself.
But yeah,
ended.
like you say, lift the cage.
Yeah.
You've got to lift it up
Lift
for
the
the
cage.
next
That's
match
what I mean.
anyway.
Why would you... Sorry, does that take another 30 seconds? Go to a cutaway footage.
there were
Enough
two-
of that.
They were too busy, pausing the Scotty 2 Hottie bit that bloody came next.
Right, okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that.
Are you impressed I knew who he was?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's my
But I
namesake. You have
obviously
to.
know who he is.
Yeah. So we got just before that though,
Yes.
we go to the WWE New York
Oh,
at Times
yeah.
Square. Mick Foley.
I got Fredo here.
Yeah, fair.
Sorry.
That's
It's because
fine.
I knew it was coming. I knew there was a segue coming, and I
Yeah.
thought the last one was about 10 minutes long.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
So I got a drink and I got Fredo.
A prosecco.
I got a prosecco mixed with a Fredo there.
Prosecco.
A prosecco.
Prosecco.
That is great.
That's a combination. That's a T-shirt.
Oh, it really
waiting to
is.
happen there, isn't it?
Fredo.
Get the prosecco
Way
out.
to my heart.
Yeah, Devon, get the prosecco. So yeah, I mean,
Yes.
as much as I like JR,
Mm-hmm.
this is his dumb line of the night for me. Why are you there, Mick? Because he's fucking told to be there, Jim. You
Well, that's
daft.
what he bloody said.
Yeah,
I
he
love that.
literally goes.
He
and
said, well, I've been told to come in.
yeah, so I put. I got angry first. I put because Vince told him to.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I put was, oh, Mick actually said that. Good. Like, obviously, I mean, it's just dumb. And that was pretty much my entire takeaway from it. Because Mick, I felt like I was trying to, as much as I do like a Mick Foley promo, and I was giving him a lot of credit on the ECW show, this was so irrelevant. This didn't
it was
need to be on
pointless.
here at all.
It was just another time filler.
Yeah, it was, but not. It didn't have any merit to
No.
the overall proceeding of the show. It's just showing, oh, the WWF commissioner wants WWF to win because that's where he's
Yeah.
been paid, and I've got a few choice words for Vince McMahon. Okay, like I love you, Mick, but it just didn't.
It was a bit pointless.
And to be fair, I felt like his heart wasn't in it.
No.
Which,
Agreed.
fair enough. Nor should it have been. To be fair, it was a waste of what they could have done with him, I guess. And then we have a lovely segue into Scotty 2 Hottie
Yep.
with his, less voluminous hair.
Yes.
Shall we say? Which I didn't like the look. After his tall hair went, I significantly cared less about
Oh.
him for whatever reason, which is sad because that was one of the nicknames that I used to get at school. 'Cause
Oh, right.
Everyone like wrestling
Yeah.
men. My name's Scott. Scotty 2 Hottie.
Of course.
Boring. But we see the big Canadian boot
Yep.
walk into the shot and
We
say,
all know what's coming.
"Hey, Scotty,
Yeah.
you're in that immunity battle royal later, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it to you? Starts to walk
Wow.
off. Test lays down. Well, I say he lays a beating down. He gets him to the floor and
Yeah.
then starts pumping a tyre. Because you don't hear.
No.
That's
Yeah.
me hitting my own hand just in case
Yeah.
anyone gets any ideas. It was.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
So what's he doing?
Yeah,
Like, hey,
it's a bit weird.
very
It's
odd.
funny.
And then this comes on to my next point with this in general. And we see it all the time when people jump other people and then get rewarded for doing so by getting their spot in the... Where's the punishment?
Who is saying, yeah, sure, you can take that spot?
Yeah, I know the WWF commissioner was in New York, as we just learned.
Yeah.
But...
That's a valid point, actually. I never think about those things because I just...
Because I just think, okay, well, yeah, you did that. We need a replacement. It's not you.
Yeah. It's anyone but you.
Because then what's the incentive for anyone who wants to be in it? Just going, right, I'm going to start laying out...
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Always a little... And again, we know the deal with wrestling, as you would say.
We know behind the curtain.
But let's keep some things believable.
Exactly, no, I do agree.
Like, there's no other line of work or business sport that this would happen in. But anyway, so I put, shouldn't be rewarded. That was the end takeaway from that. Now we move on to said immunity battle royal.
Yes, we do.
Or the battle royal of irrelevant people. As I considered it.
Do you know what? I sat and all I wanted to do was see if I could name as many people as I possibly could.
If you got beyond 7, I'll be impressed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Love that. Love the fact I got the number.
8.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't.
9.
Jesus.
There's a couple in there. But as they were walking down the ramp, others came later on. Like others, I went, oh, it's him, because it didn't focus on them on the ramp.
Yeah.
DPD.
DPD? Delivery?
It doesn't even say DPD in here. It says DDP.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm thinking about my shopping.
I want him to be a delivery man now.
Clearly, I'm thinking about my shopping that's coming.
Have you got an order coming later?
Of course.
Of course you do.
Yeah, Diamond Dallas Page, obviously. Raven.
Raven
was there.
I put, is it Raven or is it Thin Balls Mahoney?
I know.
First thing I put.
As soon as I said that, it did make me laugh.
Literally, that's my first comment.
I saw him and I was like, oh, it's him. It's him. And then I got confused with him and Maven.
Very different people.
Oh, 100%. But I was like, oh, it's fucking names are too similar. We know what I'm like with names, clearly.
There's a Matt Taven as well in Ring of Honor,
Jesus.
but I won't worry you with that.
The Hurricane, obviously, which every time we do a Royal Rumble watch, he's always my surprise entrant. Because 9 times out of 10, he's always there.
But what point does it become not a surprise?
Well, yep, that's a valid point. Lance Storm.
Yep.
I was impressed on him. Crash Holly.
Yes, he was there, dead.
Obviously the APA.
Yeah, APA. Albert, yeah.
And then later on I list Chuck and Billy.
Yeah, Billy and Chuck.
Obviously that's...
You Look So Good to Me.
Scissors Man, isn't it?
Scissors Man, yeah. Scissor Me Daddy Ass.
I don't think... Oh, Taz was obviously there because... Taz, because Paul Heyman didn't shut up about Taz the whole time.
This was brilliant. So Taz kind of comes down after they've all started throwing punches at each other. So yeah,
why is Taz here?
So many people of no importance, I think, is the takeaway.
I mean, I suppose it was the rest of the locker room needed something to do.
Basically, and like you said, Heyman played his bit brilliantly well with Taz in general. So Taz was kicked out of the alliance, basically. So Taz, obviously big ECW guy, former ECW world champion, joined the alliance when all this started. He was the first one to go, like, what the fuck's going on with Stone Cold?
Right.
He challenged it, and they're like, you're out.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he was against Paul Heyman and vice versa. He came out to the match slightly after it started, at which point in my head I started hearing the Oompa Loompa music, but I think Taz was a little bit late because he had the night shift at the Chocolate Factory that evening. He looked slightly more intimidating than he did at One Night Stand.
Yeah.
He can still choke a bitch out without an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But since his ECW days where he was genuine against the Rhino thing,
right.
Me, knowing how genuinely fearsome they are, and I'm not saying they're not tough people in real life, but they just seem like such a joke. And the way that WWE treated Taz, specifically, I mean, like I said, I've mentioned the 2001 Royal Rumble before, from having his first WWF match at the 2000 Royal Rumble with Kurt Angle, where he looked amazing, to a year later, running into the ring, being sat on the top turnbuckle like a naughty child in Time Out by Kane and being slapped over the top rope in 4 seconds, shows how quickly he fell off the map.
I see.
Not his fault necessarily.
No,
it's the way he was used. But I can't take a lot of the WWF Taz stuff seriously as a result.
Right.
And it's a shame. So, as you said, Paul Heyman kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
He's going, what's that guy doing here? And JR played off this beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'll tell you what I'd do. He said, I'd go out there and throw him out myself if I was you. I'd take off my hat, flash him my bald head, shock him with it, and then eliminate him.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Very, very good stuff by
good,
JR.
Yeah.
They worked really well together, and this match in particular was a real highlight for me. So, some of the eliminations, there are some that happen quite quick.
Right, the very first one.
Sean Stasiak was immediate.
Well, this is the thing that if I was pernickety, I'd call out. He was thrown over the top rope before the match even began. So
Before the bell went.
to me, he should be getting back in there. He wasn't eliminated. Bell didn't go.
That is an excellent salient point you've made there.
Thank you.
I didn't even notice. That's the
Yep.
real winner of the Battle Royal is Sean Stasiak.
Yes, because I saw he went over and they were like, "Oh, he's the first elimination." Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
No, he's not because the bell's just rung now.
Yep.
So
Do you,
it was irrelevant.
do you know what he was called in WWF? So he was...
I didn't even know who he was.
Right, okay. So he was a WCW guy,
Hmm.
came to WWF and I think went back to WCW. But either way, the time he was in the WWF, his name,
Hmm.
and I'm not joking, Meat.
Oh.
Because he
Okay.
was brought in as eye candy by, I think it was like Terry Runnels and someone else.
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
he was their Meat,
Jesus Christ.
was the gist of it. No charisma to pull it off. But with Sean Stasiak, his dad, I want to say it's Stan Stasiak, was a former WWF champion, and he took the title off Bruno Sammartino in the 70s. So the linear
okay.
WWE, what is now the WWE title,
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino, you might have heard the name.
Oh,
might
yeah, I
not.
have heard that name.
He had like a 8-year run with the title. So
Wow.
pales Roman Reigns in comparison. So, but
God, I hope we don't have that to look forward to.
one of
Jesus.
the, I don't know if there's any of it on the network as a full show,
Hmm.
but it'd be interesting to just get your take on it anyway, because it's, like I said, it's a nice timepiece from the era. But Stan Stasiak was the man who took it off Bruno Sammartino, so his dad had
Oh,
lineage.
okay.
Bit of background about someone that you will
Yeah.
never think about again.
No.
But I didn't realise he'd gone out before the bell.
Yeah, he did.
But there's some-
If you see that, he literally goes
I
flying
think
and then
I'll
they
have to
ring the
watch it
bell.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. He should still be in it,
Stupid.
100%. He should still have a job to this day. In
I
fact,
believe so.
I wonder if there's a court case to be had here. Small
Well,
claims.
because the person that did win it, obviously you know.
Cheated. Shouldn't have been in there in
See?
the first place.
See,
It's all coming up. It all makes sense. But we got some of the early eliminations surprised me. Like Farouk went pretty early,
very early.
and as he landed, I genuinely waited for him to go damn like that. The camera paused for a second. I was like, oh no, this is before the Ron
Yeah.
Simmons damn era. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I put, so DDP was one of the few I put a comment on.
Yes.
I said he looks like a cult leader with that
Okay.
smile. Just, it's unsettling. It's
Yeah.
creepy. And
But it
he's-
is his like signature pose, isn't it? The
in
side-on
WWE,
smile.
yeah, it's like think positive thinking
Yeah.
and stuff. And what he's done outside of wrestling since then
amazing.
is amazing work. Amazing work. And he was massively underutilised, to be fair,
Right.
by the WWF, because he was one of the big WCW guys. He never
okay.
joined the NWO. I don't know if you're familiar with the...
Yeah.
Okay. He never joined that group. He was always fighting on WCW's behalf
Mhm.
to help against this oncoming surge of the NWO. But when he went to WWF as part of the invasion and stuff, they had him stalking Undertaker's wife.
God, that's creepy.
Yeah. So, and
Why?
then they just, I don't know.
Just cause.
And then because they had a reveal where he had like a, you know, like how Edge had the motorcycle helmet on, then
Yes.
he took it off for the reveal. DDP did something similar where he took off the head and it was him standing in the middle of the ring, and no one really cared, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
But the problem is Undertaker killed him in that feud immediately.
Oh right,
So
yeah.
took him out
well,
as a
yeah,
threat.
because two of them you wouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
So, and then immediately he's worth nothing then.
Oh,
this point.
I see.
So again, but his stint in that match, he should have been, for me,
Longer.
not only should he have been in there longer,
Mm-hmm.
he should have been, if it was all done right, even if they just had the people at their disposal they did, he should have been in that 5-on-5 match.
Yeah.
He was that important to WCW.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no way he shouldn't have been in that match.
It did really surprise me actually that he was out as quick as he was,
And yeah,
because I then made a comment about the fact that Chuck then got knocked out, and as I want to call him DPD again, DDP stood up literally to leave because he'd already been knocked out.
Palumbo
Chuck
landed on him.
absolutely smacks him in the face with his feet, and
Yeah.
you just see him absolutely hit the deck.
Yeah,
I was
as
like,
you would.
Oh dear.
I mean, Palumbo's a big man. He's like 6'5",
Yeah.
6'6". He's
Yeah.
not a small unit himself.
Yeah, it did make me chuckle. I was like, oh god, this is chaos.
And I put, speaking of names that aren't befitting and relevant to WWF in general, we see Hugh Morris come out, and we see Chavo Guerrero. Who
Oh, those
obviously-
two, yes.
Yeah. So Hugh Morris.
Who the hell was the other guy? I know Chavo.
So Hugh Morris is I could talk about him for ages, to be fair, but he worked in WCW under several names, including once General. Oh no, I don't know if it was him that had this name, but he was in a group, and one of the guys in the group was called General Erection.
Jesus Christ.
And I thought for some reason it was him, but he was Hugh Morris because he's humorous. Awful.
Oh, okay.
Awful.
Right.
But eventually, I think he trained people in WCW, but became a trainer for WWE as well. And he did it for quite a long time, but then a lot of allegations started coming out of being a bully, effectively mistreating people. I don't think there's any necessarily sexual misconduct or anything like that, but effectively an absolute bully. Because he was from a different era, you know, the way times have changed, you've got to adapt to it. And he just wouldn't. He was stuck in his ways and has kind of been not blacklisted, but he's just gone completely now. So that was a little bit of background on him. So him and Chavo, I think, weren't picked up by the Alliance for whatever reason. They just came in and just made a nuisance of themselves. But they were tossed out pretty quickly, with Chavo being yeeted over the top rope onto Hugh Morris at one point.
Okay. I've got I can't remember who it was, and I wish I'd written it down, but Bradshaw at one point literally propels a guy over, like holds him and then throws him over the top rope, and I was like, oh, it's nice that.
No, he's a dick, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, but you actually liked the...
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good like display of athleticism, really. I thought it was quite cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had to have something.
At that point, I liked him.
Oh, I didn't dislike him at this point.
Doing, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would agree with you there.
Who the hell is Stephen Richards?
So, Steve... Right.
Because he also has a normal name.
Yeah, so...
It's like John from Accounts. Like Stephen Richards.
He wasn't in that match, John from Accounts, actually. No, but it was Paul from HR.
Do you know what I mean, though? Yeah. It's like, who can help me do that at work? Oh, yeah, that's Stephen Richards.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Chris Smith Milkman.
That's not a wrestling name.
He was,
I mean, I say that, like Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, they're normal names too.
Hardy.
But Stephen Richards.
Yeah, like, so Stevie Richards is what I more often know him as. Right. He did stints in, I think he was actually as well in WCW for a bit, but mainly started off getting notoriety in ECW. They formed a mock stable of the NWO was big in WCW. They created the Blue World Order in ECW, which was him, a guy called Supernova, and the Blue Meanie, who I touched upon about JBL kicking the shit out of him, and they all portrayed one of the guys in that group. Stevie Richards got to have a main event match in for the title in ECW. I think he, like I said, briefly went to WCW and ended up in WWE, where he didn't really do anything, if truth be told. He was in the Right to Censor group. Oh god, yeah, with Ivory and all that, and Val Venus, the Good Father, not the Godfather, but yes, there was Val Venus in there as well, right? Yeah, Val Venus, former porn star, obviously. But yeah, Stephen Richards was one of the group in Right to Censor, and this was after that era, so he was still in Right to Censor. Right to Censor were definitely still going up to Mania, right? Because I'm sure Ivory was still representing them when she had the match with China at WrestleMania 17, because we watched that show a long time ago, not for the purpose of this podcast. No. And so that they must have still been actively a thing then. So this was the same year after that, and they just didn't have anything to do with him, so put him in the black gear. Okay. And this was the end result of it. Oh, okay. Yeah, he lasted way longer than he should have as well. Yeah, and obviously there was a lot of people in there that I was just like, who the feck are these people? Don't know them, but it was fine. It was a filler. It was interesting for me to just watch who goes out where. But my one take on it was there was too many black clothing for me. I'm glad you said clothing, because that could have gone down very. No, it was the only person that I could pinpoint out was Billy Gunn. I think the issue there is because when, like I said, I've made light of it, but the fact that so many of them are relatively irrelevant. Yeah, they don't have like gear and stuff, proper gear. For someone like you who's coming into this, yeah, I'm not going to know who they are. No, like I'm trying to think of people that didn't have black gear. So like Hurricane, obviously, is very noticeable. He was Perry Saturn, who without facial hair throws me off massively. Yes, but he didn't know it was him till he got eliminated. I'll be honest. Effectively, same here. But yeah, I completely get that point, and there's a lot to go on, especially when you're trying to take notes without re-watching it several times. Yeah, I was just like, no, this is a one-shot wonder type thing. Yeah. But it got to Billy Gunn, and I was like, yeah, I can only look at him because he's the only person in there now that's not wearing either black trousers, black shorts, or like he was wearing a colour, and everyone else was very like muted tones, and I was like, okay. No, that's fair analysis. I liked the bit where Taz actually got eliminated, where he just starts shouting over the top rope, going, "Hey, you loudmouth piece of shit! Why don't you come over here?" And then it's the moment he gets thrown over, Heyman starts laughing, and then Taz immediately turns to go for him, and Heyman hides. And JR's like, "Well, you sit down. You've you soiled yourself. Damn my shirt." Really, that was funny. Really, really well done. That was funny. Very much enjoyed that. That was the highlight of the match for me, if I'm being honest. So we boil down, we get to the final four. I noticed that Bradshaw's getting cheered is strange, and that'll be a rarity in stuff that we watch, but I get it. Yeah, for sure. Fine then. Final four, speaking of the man, Bradshaw, Lance Storm, Billy Gunn, and Test. The Jezebel.
as he is called many, many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that was what JR was calling...
of course,
Paul
everyone
Heyman.
that's like bad as well. Like,
a bad woman, a Jezebel.
Everyone is just a Jezebel that's bad.
Yeah, because there's
It's
later
JR.
on where
Everyone. He
Paul
says
Heyman
it
goes,
so many.
Jezebel? Jezebel.
It's so
calm down,
funny.
you woman.
I
Like,
just
again,
love that description. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
very good.
Jezebel.
So Bradshaw and Storm kind of managed to
Mhm.
eliminate themselves, fall over the top rope, no
Yeah.
one cares. And then Tess boots Billy Gunn into next week.
Hmm.
Tess wins the Immunity Battle Royal. His job is safe. Shouldn't have been in the match.
No.
The real winner, as we've learned, Sean Stasiak. So congratulations, Sean Stasiak, on the win.
Someone
of that.
tell him.
Someone has to tell him.
He's still employed.
He's still alive somewhere as well. So yeah, reach out to him. I assume he is. I mean, Holly looked very concerned there.
I
but-
don't know. I don't know.
No, I think he is. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure
good.
he's still ticking along.
Good.
And we go to backstage moment number 58 of the show. We see Booker T and Shane McMahon, basically just a microcosm of what we saw earlier. We don't really need to go into too much detail on
Need
it.
it anymore.
Just challenging Stone Cold's loyalty.
Yeah.
Shane's like, no, I trust him.
Snore.
And they're like, okay, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
At least it was short. That's the only
Thank the
takeaway from
Lord.
that one. Okay, so we move into the WWF Women's Title Match. 6-pack challenge, I think they call it.
Yes.
We've got Trish Stratus. Yep. Jacqueline.
Yep.
Lita.
Yep.
Ivory.
Yep.
Mighty Molly, who I just can't help but like.
Yeah.
I like Mighty Molly. And then the surprise entrant for the match,
Jazz.
Jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be grateful her name wasn't like classical music, because they came out to jazz music, which was just weird.
Yeah, no.
What should they have done? Like called a gangster rap and have her come out to 2-pack or something?
Yes.
It's just...
No imagination.
So she's
really.
an ECW alumni. She had a lot of success.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't really have a women's division really to speak of,
Right.
but she would often compete with the blokes as well and do
okay.
pretty well. She's a tough
She's
woman.
Build.
She is built, and she's...
I mean,
like
they
I
all
said,
are, to be fair, but she
tough
was.
as
Yeah.
tough as a $2 steak. I'd say, is your hip just cracked?
Yeah, my hip to just crack. Sorry.
Okay.
the small little. Ow,
Yeah, I
just
heard,
hit.
just to be clear,
Yeah,
because I think I
my
needed to
hip
clarify that I didn't like reach
Sorry.
over and smack her or anything like that.
No,
Well,
I'm
I don't
old.
think I did anyway this time.
I'm old. My hip popped.
Well, fine. So we go into the match itself.
Mm.
I liked how it started with Jazz, like not wasting time. Like, oh, I'm just going to rugby tackle you
Yeah.
and drive you into oblivion. Good start. I thought this match, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen it a few times. Rewatching it now because it's been years since I've seen it. In my head, I remember it as just crap, absolute crap.
Yeah.
And it wasn't crap. It wasn't great, but it was far less
Yeah.
spotty than like. So, spoiler alert. Not spoiler alert, but we watched a little bit of Crown Jewel
Yes,
just now,
we did.
and there was as many crappy moments in that women's 5-way as there was in this women's.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
So I thought that probably
Fair
means
play.
that it's not as bad as I thought it
No.
was. But what were your points on this one?
I made a point about Lita looking phenomenal.
Yep, in good nick.
Molly Holly. I didn't put Mighty Molly. She is Molly Holly to me.
But she's Hurricane Psychic. I thought you'd be all about that.
Honestly, she can do no wrong.
She's lovely. She's just a
She's
lovely
just
woman.
so nice.
Sweetheart. Good girlfriend material.
Very similar to in a previous time, a comment I made about Heath Slater.
Yeah.
Just happy to be there. Looks happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Just nice.
She was originally in WCW Eye Candy. I can't remember. It wasn't Gorgeous George. I feel like her name was something like that, and she was literally just one of Macho Man Randy Savage's women.
Oh, right.
So the fact that she went from that
Yeah.
to doing this kind of stuff in fairly short
Nice.
turnaround time, good for her. And like I said, just an absolute sweetheart of a lady,
Yeah.
by all accounts.
I'll be honest, I didn't actually make that many notes on this match because it was all a bit all over the shop for me.
To be fair, it kind of has to be in the
Yeah,
nature of it.
because there's so many of them. I didn't like I call them a teddy bear roll, but the pins where they're like, oh, it's you,
Okay,
oh,
your
it's me, oh, it's you.
Teddy bear roll.
Yeah,
What's
like a teddy bear roll is when you sit on the floor back to back with someone with your legs like in a straddle, so a
that?
V,
Oh, then you go around
and then you roll around them.
Oh, okay.
And that just went on for too long for me.
Yeah, I think I'll need evidence of this later. So before you head off, I think you'll need to show a teddy bear roll so I can get a full understanding of what that entails.
And I liked Lita's version of Poetry in Motion.
Yes, and this is one of my comments I put. Jacqueline faking her out for the second one.
Yes, that's very
to
good.
I was like, nice.
Very good.
Nice
yeah, like do
little
the
touch.
first one Nice.
Yeah.
Second one.
You
Bang.
are my friend.
Yeah.
Bang. Have
No, I
that.
really liked that, and I
Yep.
thought that was very good. And she hit a very nice moonsault for me in this one.
Yeah.
Always makes me a little bit nervous because sometimes she goes further
Overdoes it.
backwards than she does up.
Hmm.
This was lovely.
She kind of rockets herself at them rather than
Yeah.
arcs, doesn't she? And I feel like with Lita, and it's probably doing her a disservice, that I feel like she messes up as many as she lands well. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it was
It
one
was on
that just
point.
looked good.
Yeah.
I've put Jazz getting caught messy on the ropes.
Yeah, okay. That's one of my points I've got
Okay.
here. So Trish goes to low bridge the rope. So she grabs the rope to pull it down, but obviously bearing in mind that Trish isn't necessarily strong enough to pull the rope down as far
Jazz
enough
is
she
the pocket
needed.
rocket, right?
Yeah, Jazz is little, but she has to then go out the ropes,
Yeah.
and it's just a combination of things. So she kind of got mangled in it and then falls to the floor.
Yeah,
so
it was
looked
just
bad.
a bit. It didn't look. Yeah.
But this is right towards the tail end of the match. It was a short encounter.
Yeah, exactly.
Trish hits the Stratisfaction on Ivory.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Trish wins her first ever WWF Women's
I
title.
was gonna say Trish wasn't big at this point, was she? Like,
This was her breakout match.
cool, nice. Because I did think that was the case. Because also her music wasn't the music we know.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like the crowd pop, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this was pre her
It was.
actually being massive.
Yeah. Because she came in, I think it was, I don't know if it was 99, definitely. Oh, it must have been 99, because I think she was around early 2000. She managed Test and Albert, the team creatively titled TNA. So
Okay.
that was her introduction. They had a feud that I remember where they were feuding, so Tess and Albert were feuding with the Dudley Boys, and Bubba Ray was besotted with Trish.
Right.
And she kept like sending videos, like there were little segues of her doing videos where she was like in lingerie,
I
polishing
see.
tables
Yeah.
and stuff like that, going, oh, just getting it all, it makes me all excited and stuff. And Bubba would go wide-eyed and just do this blank stare into
Right. Okay.
into the vacuum of nothingness. So he would do that, and this was the point where Bubba had a thing of putting women through table.
Oh, okay.
So he did it on quite a few people. He did it on, do you remember Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah?
Yeah.
He put both of them through a table,
Jesus.
and he did it on Mae Young going off the stage to the floor through a table. And
Bloody
when Mae
hell.
Young was well in her 70s at the time, if not older, because she was a fucking absolute battle axe of a woman, fair fucks to her. But and they were kind of suggesting that Bubba Ray was getting satisfaction out of doing this, with like a sexual, he was getting off
Right,
on getting his
okay.
jollies. And eventually it culminated with him putting Trish through a table after she made out with him, basically,
Oh,
but he
okay.
still then put her through a table.
Jesus.
So this was after that phase where because she was diligently training in the background at the time.
Right.
I think Fit Finlay had moved to
Oh,
a
okay.
trainer before he had his in-ring stint in WWF, and he was training the women, and Trish would work out exclusively with the men to learn how to do
Oh,
it
okay.
properly, effectively, which I think was
Fair fucks, yeah.
fair credit to her, 'cause she was a fan. Like, she wasn't
Yeah.
one of the people that was brought off the street because she looked good.
Yes.
She did look good.
Yeah.
She was a fitness model.
Yes.
But she was a wrestling fan.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and I think that
Makes sense.
showed its value.
Yeah, it did for sure.
But yeah, so this was Trish's outcoming, as it were. Right. So again, there was a little comment from JR.
Ooh, I might know what this is. Is she coming in the back door?
There it is. There it is. So
See, I do
JR
listen
says,
sometimes.
yeah, JR turned to Heyman and said, Trish sneaking in the back door, which I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
And
It did make me chuckle.
I looked at my missus and she went, he probably wouldn't. Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, each to their own, whatever works. But again, a nice little misogynistic line, which was absolutely
Yes.
fine at the time. So we're just moments away from the main event.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon,
I really struggled paying attention in this whole segment.
the man with the largest grapefruits, rallying the troops, rallying his men.
It literally was like I've written, is he sending them off to war?
That's effectively
So,
what they're going for, the imagery they're going for there. The Rock made me feel motion sick.
Oh my
'cause
God,
he
thank God
would
you
not
said this.
Stop bouncing.
Because I couldn't concentrate on anything else that was going because he was just jumping up and down in
Yeah.
the side of the screen.
Got a sweat on.
And I was just like, oh, I'm exhausted because my eyes can't stop going up and down.
Fully lubricated was that man
Oh, it
by
was
the
so
time
annoying.
and I think this was a little gag by Vince dragging this out
To
'Cause
see
you
how
saw-
long he could carry
yeah,
on
just-
jumping
and
for.
fair play to
I
the
mean,
Rock. He
that's
did not stop
amusing.
bouncing at any point in this.
It was like a tension drawing. So I couldn't tell you any of the words that Vince said, mainly because I wasn't listening. but also because he was doing that, I'm just like, I cannot concentrate on these two things at once.
That's fine. So the summary of it was, he was saying, the fans won't forgive you.
Right.
I won't forgive you. You need to go out and do it for them. Without them, you're nothing.
Okay.
Go out and prove it. And they said, think about all the greats that have gone before you, and then started listing dead people.
okay.
So like Gorilla Monsoon went over to The Rock. High Chief Peter Maivia, Rock's granddad.
Yeah.
So he was trying to instill that, and you're right. It was like the imagery of going to war.
It really was. Yeah.
Undertaker halfway between a biker and a gimp. I'm not entirely sure what the issue is there, but I hate American Badass. Undertaker.
Do you?
I know you like the Limp Bizkit song. That
Yeah, literally my first note of this whole entire match.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But I prefer the Dead Man.
Okay, yeah.
And I couldn't take him seriously because I don't know, it's the drawl in his voice.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of works, but it doesn't at the same time. We get it. You like bikes, okay? Right.
Okay.
We don't need to base a character around this. Then we go to Shane McMahon and Team Alliance marching to the ring, and now this is the point I really want to touch upon.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon should not be in this match.
Should he be in any?
He's had a couple that I don't mind.
I don't mind the ones where he falls from like 50 foot in the air.
Or the one where he does his knees in and then has to get Snoop Dogg to elbow drop the Miz.
God, that was awful.
That was horrendous. Yeah, that was really uncomfortable.
Honestly.
But back on this.
Yes, no, he should
not be involved
No.
in this. And if you look at this is what I'm trying to tie up with my comment earlier. If you look at the people that they had on roster that they could have used, even look at the WWE team. Big Show started off in WCW as the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
He was marketed as Andre the Giant's son. Make him a WCW guy.
Okay.
Take Shane out. Put a big guy in their team. Balance it up a little bit.
because to me it was very, very big heavy.
Yeah.
On one side, apart from one person.
Yeah. Kurt Angle. I know that they used him for a very specific role, which we'll touch upon later.
Yeah.
Take him out of there. Put Chris Jericho in that team.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho did ECW, did WCW, had a really long stint
Would make more sense.
there. You can still do the turn. Have Jericho turn.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You could do it with someone else. Like I said, put DDP in there. You've got enough people. I'm fine with RVD. I'm fine with Books.
Yes.
I don't even mind Stone Cold because he has a history with the other
Mm-hmm.
companies, despite how big he made it in WWF. But all that, even though it wouldn't have been as good as if they had the likes of Ric Flair, Goldberg, Sting,
Right.
they still could have made it better than it was,
Yes.
and they didn't.
Yeah, Shane McMahon just not need to be there.
But the thing is, it's an ego thing for Vince McMahon. He's looking at it going, well, I can't portray my guys as being lesser. You can. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to come out victorious...
It doesn't matter, does it?
Doesn't
really?
matter.
No. And actually then they'll just come out as being the underdogs, which actually, if anything, is probably better.
No one wants to see a one-sided flogging.
No.
It's just that there's no entertainment to be had there. That's what I mean. It's just... There's a lot of issues with it. And like I said, in hindsight, it's clearer to see.
Yes.
At the time, I didn't care as much.
You would have just taken it for what it was.
Exactly. But there's a lot. That was a big sticking point for me.
Yeah.
I think it's a sticking point for a lot of people that are aware and have seen this show.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll go on to the match itself. How did you feel about the shots of the locker rooms to gauge their reaction about things that were happening?
Unnecessary. For
Okay.
me. Mainly because all I'm doing is looking for people I know.
Yeah, fine.
And then all I focused on was when it showed the WWF locker room was the fact that Bradshaw had no shoes on, and it really upset me. And I wished I hadn't noticed it. It's the first thing I saw. Everyone sat there in all their gear, and then he sat there with his feet out, and I was just like, oh, I wish I hadn't seen that because now it's all I can look at.
Because I do what you do. I have a little scan around, see where people are sitting.
Yeah.
But the issue that I have is that the quality of the people in shot
Yes.
is significantly hampered
Yes.
because they're not high quality people.
Nope.
That sounds awful.
No, I know
what
what you mean, but you've got your, especially in the Alliance
that was the
locker
one
room.
Specifically.
There was a couple that were stood right next to Stephanie McMahon, and I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like I think it's the guy that maybe was eliminated from
Sean Stasiak.
that guy, really tall.
Yeah.
And I was
Spiky hair.
I don't know who you are, but the camera is constantly on you, and I don't care.
Also, I thought it was interesting, even though we see him later on, that Vince wasn't seen in the WWF locker room. He wasn't with his troops.
But Stephanie was with
So
the Alliance,
the
which
general
was
leads from
interesting.
behind in
Yeah.
the WWF's case. I'm sure there could be a apropos saying from The Art of War that I could pull out here,
Yeah,
but I don't
I'm
have
sure.
one. But
Yeah, it's a fair point actually. I didn't even clock it.
One of the
I was
first
just like,
things I thought.
oh, who's that over there?
It's a nice idea, but because of the personnel involved, I don't think it had quite the desired effect. But credit to him, I think it was at a positive point still. And this is where I put the note. JR and Heyman, they're on point all night.
Yes.
This match was just a nice amalgamation of everything that had gone before it, and just really, really good commentary. There's nothing specifically that I can point out and go, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Even it's like little things that Paul Heyman do in the evening. So
very good.
He said, so despite who wins later, the Alliance will win.
Yes.
The Alliance will win.
Yes.
Really good. Really nice little touches.
Good.
What did you think? So we talked about the entrance music.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'll let you take. So tell me about Taker's entrance music.
I freaking love it.
Yeah.
It just takes me back to being
Progress.
Like, well, no, I did write that, but it takes me back to being just a grunger, like young. Yeah. That was such a tune.
I agree.
And then obviously he came out on his bike to that as well, and I was like, it really just took me back. It did give me PTSD flashbacks of Progress, seeing that man dancing appallingly to it.
We'll save a little bit of the story on that one for the Progress show itself. Yes, I won't
delve into it, but it did give me a little bit of anxiety, shall we say.
I'll be honest, it's taken away from that song a little bit for me, but it makes me laugh.
But I just loved that. That is probably the era, like that era of him doing that is my main era of watching wrestling.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
With the recorded over the back video.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Fair enough. I think the only entrance song, and to be fair, if we're going to have to deal with the American Badass as a character, I don't mind him having that song. That's fine.
Yeah.
The one I took real umbrage with, Stone Cold. I hate that version of his song.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear Glass Smash.
Yeah.
I don't want whatever this is.
Yeah, true.
Awful.
I understand that.
It's just not got the same effect, and I guess it's because they're going, oh, well, he's a bad guy. We don't want to get the pop that he normally gets when he comes out. Just let him have it.
True. The other entrance that I love is that era of Jericho.
Yeah.
With the countdown.
Yeah. And
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, really good.
And that's that is my first, like, that's my favourite era of Jericho.
Yeah, he's a very versatile man. He's gone through a lot of metamorphosis over the years.
My second is, you just made the list.
That is up there as well. I don't think there's been, the only era of Jericho I didn't like, and it was absolutely fine, it just wasn't my favourite, it was the suited, monotone, boring thing. It was before he went to the list phase.
Oh, okay.
He became, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Yeah.
But it's all that level, and I get it, but it was just, it didn't offer the same as
much.
any of his other characters for me.
But yeah, I loved Y2J.
I'd say one of the most versatile men. Don't get me wrong, he's always playing a version of himself. Yes. Mick Foley, you could argue, is more versatile because he played a succession of very different characters. But Chris Jericho is always good at reinventing his own self.
Yeah.
So you've got to give him
very
credit
good.
there. And I did say, despite Stone Cold's tune, the crowd still want to cheer him. Yeah. You can tell, and it's just it's with Stone Cold. There's this guttural, manly. It's got bass in it. The cheers for a lot of people, like The Rock, has a bit of both, but you can hear the female.
Tell it's the blokes cheering for
Stone Cold.
And
it hits different for me. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
You look at the lineup on paper, the 5 against 5.
Yeah.
WWF have to win.
Obviously.
They've got 3 just if you think about it, just a size for size. I know that doesn't count, but if you're looking at it as like a legitimate fight.
Please. It's
Big Show,
ridiculous.
7 foot.
Yeah.
Undertaker, 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah.
Kane, of the same stature.
Yeah.
What they got?
I know. It was a bit ridiculous.
And obviously...
It looked silly with them around the end of the ring.
It did.
It literally was like, the camera's close here, these are the smaller guys, they're further away, they're giants.
Yep.
Like, it just... And you put RVD in there, who is brilliant, and it just looks ridiculous.
Even Angle.
Yeah. It just looked a bit ridiculous to me, and we know I have a problem with not comparable matches.
It helps that on the Alliance side they had, like, Stone Cold transcends size. Doesn't matter to me who he's going up against. I always believe that Stone Cold's in with a fight of it.
Right.
Less so everyone else on that team. Rob Van Dam, great as you said, but when he's up against the big people, it lessens it slightly.
Yeah.
And I've got a specific point on something that happens with him later in the match that I don't like.
Oh yeah, okay.
His gear on point. Oh, again,
absolutely brilliant.
Just going back to the RVD gear appreciation.
I really
society.
like him.
I do. He's genuinely one of my favourites. I've got his DVD somewhere down there, and it's a real treat.
Yeah, he's very good, and actually, him and Jericho together
worked very well.
It worked very well, and actually, it's a match. I don't know if they've ever done it, but it's something I would have liked to have seen at that point. Not now. Just to put it out there, not now.
Fine.
But that then.
I would imagine with that, they have had feuds probably around the Intercontinental title. I feel like they might have both been floating around the level. I'm certain they will have had matches.
I'm sure.
But not like a high profile.
Yeah, I just feel like it
world
would have
title.
worked. Because
they
Jericho
gelled like that.
he's strong, but to me, he's an AJ Styles. Like,
That's
he's
exactly
not
what he is.
doing, flips off the top, but he's doing...
Well, you do the line salt.
Exactly. But he's just nimble. Nimble is my word at the minute. Here he is.
And if you're ever looking to read a wrestler's autobiography...
Read that one.
I would read Jericho's. He's got a few of them, but they're engaging enough that you don't have to... I mean, even though you do like wrestling...
Yes.
It's not the be-all and end-all.
Okay.
There's just good stuff in there. But yeah, you're right, and it made me appreciate him. And it's going to be sad, even though he's getting up there in years, he's still performing well.
Oh yeah.
It will be sad when he's not around, because he's like the last bastion of this era now.
Yeah.
Even though he was younger than a lot of the contemporaries at the time,
but he was
there.
high up then. Even
Literally,
though he
if you
was
look
younger.
at that match, apart from Shane having the odd match, none of the other guys wrestle.
Yeah.
Just him.
Yeah.
Literally all of them gone.
Fair point.
It's but yeah, it has a big match feel to it. I feel like whether the quality of the match itself, I don't think is that good.
Yeah, no.
There's several things that annoy me, but at the time I was able to overlook all of that. So I'm having to try and remember what it was like viewing it through.
Yeah, rather than now picking it apart, being older.
Yeah.
It is trying to remember back then. Like, I remember the bit where, I mean, he did it multiple times in all of his matches, but Kane, flat out on the floor. Undertaker does it as well, but sits bolt upright. I remember as being a kid being like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Because you think someone's come back from the dead.
But now it's like, well, to me that's no different than I'm asleep, I'm awake.
But then again,
like,
there's a real world application for that. I assume you've probably seen the clip, but you won't have seen the fight. Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
He literally fucking sat up like the Undertaker. And I was like, do you know what? That's giving credence to that.
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So
I
fair
have
play
seen
to Tyson. It's right. So Rock and Austin start trading right away. The bell, I don't even think the bell sounds.
No.
Rock and Austin throwing punches. Rock throwing his punches aren't good, but they look mad enough that it works.
As soon as Rock started wrestling, I realised, I really have a problem with John Cena overselling. But here we are with literally the biggest overseller ever to me, The Rock.
Okay, are you able to overlook that at all?
Because it's him.
There you go.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. He's got such a natural charisma, and that's not to say Cena doesn't.
Because now he's obviously a proper actor.
Biggest Hollywood star out there.
Back then, I don't know why it just didn't annoy me.
If when someone says to me the it factor,
He's got it.
that's the definition for me, The Rock. Because wrestling-wise, was he the most talented? No.
Absolutely not.
You could argue he's the best on the microphone at one point, maybe of all
Yes.
time. He's an argument for that, maybe not a
Yeah.
shoe-in. But there's just an undeniable thing that if you could bottle it and sell it,
Yeah,
you'd be a billionaire.
But obviously that is who they then moulded people to try and be like, and then you have John Cena come along, and now you've got people they're trying to mould to be like him, and it's, I don't know, Cena's overselling annoys me, probably because also I was older at the point of watching Cena. I was younger watching The Rock.
Absolutely.
I genuinely think that's probably
because we touch upon it later on with Rock's overselling of the Stone Cold Stunner. We talked about this the other day.
We did actually, yeah.
I was of the belief back then that because I don't know what overselling was back then.
No.
I took it as The Rock was more affected
than anyone.
It was like to relate it to, I don't know, a game where you've got, for example, okay, this is really nerdy, but Pokemon, you've got different elements that are stronger.
Oh, you're going to lose me here.
No, well, it's just it's the concept of it. So you've got a certain element that has a strength against something else. I thought Stone Cold had an undefinable something that made The Rock more susceptible.
Like he was
to
like
that
his
move.
kryptonite type
Basically.
thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. That would have been a cooler reference to make, you're right. But to me, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But now you look at it and you're like, oh, you dick.
Yeah.
Like, you don't...
Yeah. It's just too much.
But
too much now.
It was fine. It was in its own little capsule in that era. Fine. Right. I put RVD as very over. He's really over with the fans. He's getting cheered.
Oh, it does get you behind him as well.
It does.
It really did, and I was like, I really like him. I like everything he does.
Yep.
But obviously, I see how this is going to go.
But I just put they left it too late to capitalise on it.
Yeah,
because if you think about it, with the contrast from One Night Stand 2006, that's when they eventually pulled the trigger on it. This is just shy of 5 years beforehand, and you heard the noises he was getting then. crazy that they left it so late. I put Shane McMahon is like sand in lube, ruining everyone's experience. Just running in, breaking up a pin. Even the commentators are getting on it. And I get that is pretty much all he can bring to this equation.
That's what he was there for, but it didn't stop it being any less annoying.
Like a wasp at a picnic, or I went for a different metaphor for mine. But it's just, it's annoying. I don't want it. Go away.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I was annoyed that he wasn't eliminated immediately. That's what I was expecting.
Yes, I'm annoyed that it took so long to get rid of him.
It took long in general for like any elimination to take place. They all kind of took it in turns to get in the ring and get, as it were, get their shit in. Couple points one point specifically I noted was Angle hitting a German suplex on Kane. Lovely. Very nice.
Yep.
Impressive. He's a big lad, but Angle just...
It did look comical them standing next to each other though, because it just looked like little and large, even though Angle's not actually that little. It just
he's not. I think
funny.
he's about 6 foot. I think he's round about that mark. But again, when you're in there with somebody 6'9", you're going to look small. Okay, so, right, point of contention. Undertaker's move, old school.
Which one?
Dumb. It's called old school, where he twists the arm, climbs the top rope, walks across.
See, that's what that's called. I've put that at least he was showing the big guys can get up to the top rope and stay there through their own free will. As did Kane. Well, he jumped down, he walked along it. And
was he not holding the guy's hand?
Yeah, he was, but he just he didn't do anything much, but it just proved to me that those two were allowed to just do whatever that was. But it didn't really have much impact.
I have an issue with Kane doing the top rope clothesline as well, which is a point that I touch on in a minute. But Undertaker doing that is just, there's too much cooperation involved.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you're the guy on the floor, you're just pulling your hand out of the way, aren't you?
You're doing that while walking forward.
Yeah, true.
And it's silly. Very rarely countered like that. Sometimes you see someone pull and he comes flying off, but it's too few and far between for me.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it, natural reaction things as well that we've talked about before.
It's one of the dumbest moves. It's every bit as dumb to me as the Cobra. In fact, the Cobra is better because you don't have to climb up a rope and balance on someone. Yeah. I really dislike that move.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, Kane going to the top rope, you mentioned that. He hits the clothesline. He doesn't necessarily do it badly here, hits it fine, but there's no need to do it.
True. Just do a normal...
I think it's as soon as you become like a good guy, you have to do something that's unexpected, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe that's the secret to the business that I've been overlooking here. So we kind of go... I say we go into the first elimination, but Undertaker does it twice. I forgot he went and did old school twice. And I thought, Stone Cold will counter it. He didn't.
No.
He just did it twice. I said, is Undertaker Heath Slater's dad?
What?
Genuine question.
Why?
Red hair, tattoos,
Stop it.
facial hair, kind of like...
Tattoos? What, because you're born with tattoos?
No, but it's a calling in life.
Silly.
So you don't think he's his dad, no? Okay, well, I won't do the paternity test then. That would have been interesting. But fine, be like that. We get to the first elimination. Mm-hmm. Big Show finally gets in the match. Clears house a little bit. And then gets hit with a succession of finishes. So Angle Slam, which looked like a real struggle, which it definitely would have been.
Absolutely.
5-star Frog Splash.
Yes.
Was it the scissor kick from Booker T?
Like
and Shane McMahon elbow drop. Shane pins the Big Show.
Honestly ridiculous.
Big Show's gone.
Yeah.
But, fortunately, Shane McMahon is soon to follow.
Yes. I have a nice little comment here, apparently. Shane getting drilled is said in the commentary.
That?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, was that with the tombstone, I imagine?
Oh, he's getting drilled. I was like, oh, gosh, okay.
On live TV or live pay-per-view, as it were.
So.
Brilliant. Yeah, I approved of The Rock standing behind him as he's doing his little skippy dance, and then just turn around, Rock starts slapping the stupid off him.
Yeah. And
then it's a succession of finishing moves. Shane McMahon, shortly lived. How little we needed thee in the contest.
Yeah.
I think it was chokeslam by Kane, tombstone by Taker, and then Lion salted. Jericho pins Shane. Fine with it. Shane's gone. Good. I said this is where the action starts to break down a little bit. Mm-hmm. They all start to brawl with each other, but then we see a couple of quick successive eliminations.
Yes.
So RVD, this is the bit that annoyed me. This is the only bit that RVD annoyed me with.
Yeah.
It's the jumping, leaping sidekick. Not that wouldn't hurt like shit, but that's not a finisher, and that's Kane.
Yeah.
You've hit that on.
No.
I don't like the landing on the one leg. That's a break waiting to happen.
Okay. Make you nervous.
It does. That one, that's my Seth Rollins sunset flip from the really uncomfortable, because I've seen someone's leg break in half doing that, and it was gross. But that, to me, shouldn't have been enough to put Kane away. If he did that, then when I've hit the 5-star Frog Splash, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
But the kick shouldn't have been enough. So Kane gets eliminated from that. Right. I said WWF don't recover. Taker is pretty much triple teamed before a stunner. Angle is dragged over the top by Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Taker's gone as well.
Yeah.
So we're down to 4 against 2. Not looking good for Team WWF. I don't... So, I'll mention it later, because it doesn't make sense to enter it at this point, but about Angle working in the team dynamics of the Alliance. Because when you look at it back... So, no, I will mention it now. We know later on, Angle turns. Angle stops Team Alliance getting what they need to get done. But he also is involved in the elimination of a few people. Maybe don't do that.
Yeah, no, it did confuse me somewhat.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's not consistent with the story.
No, I think, but it's only silly in hindsight. As it's happening, you don't think anything of it, because you don't necessarily know he's going to be jumping ship, effectively.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Rock rolls up Booker T in the worst roll-up I've seen in many a year.
Yeah.
Booker T's shoulders aren't even on the ground.
No.
But it still counted. He's gone. At the time, I didn't care. Love The Rock.
I'll be honest, even watching it now, I was like, I really don't care.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Booker T's gone.
Yeah.
For as bad as it was, I didn't care.
No.
You're right. Okay. Oh, just it so annoys me, that sloppiness, because the ref shouldn't have counted.
No.
But he did. So that was my stomach, don't worry about that. Sorry, that was just a weird noise that just happened. It sounded like I just farted. I didn't. It's fine. And that's the story I'm sticking to. No, so The Rock then powerbombs RVD from the top rope, which is basically what John Cena did to him at ECW One Night Stand. RVD jumps up, Rock hooks him, throws him down for a powerbomb. Very nice. And then Y2J hits what I was surprised by. That's a skull-crushing finale. I don't remember him ever using that.
No.
I know he had like the Lion Tamer, which was the...
Yeah.
Or sorry, the Walls of Jericho.
Yeah.
The Lion Salt. I don't remember him having this. Did it even have a name? They didn't call it anything, so it must have been new.
Yeah.
I don't remember him having it long. But yeah, he hits that on RVD. RVD's gone.
Yep.
2 on 2.
Lovely.
I felt like you were going to jump in there with something.
Well, I've got a comment, but I don't really remember. It's after the 2 on 2, because I've just moved my note that says, now it's 2 on 2. And the elbow to the solar plexus is just a nice description. It really rolled off the tongue when JR said it. Don't know who it's in relation to, but I've written it down.
He's got a way with words when it's describing anatomy.
Solar plexus.
I'm pretty sure he's the guy
shoulders.
that once said he's a bit soggy around the breadbasket. Which I heard once and has stuck with me forever. Brilliant. But yeah, I think that's correct to be shouted out.
And I forgot that The Rock did the sharpshooter.
Right. Okay. Right.
Oh, heck. Okay.
Okay. So this is in the 2 against 2 bit.
Yeah.
So Austin and Y2J blow a spot quite badly, where they kind of... One of them's supposed to reverse running off the ropes. They end up doing this weird hug, have a weird intimate moment where they're not quite sure what they're doing. And then they have another misstep later where Austin's supposed to jump from the middle turnbuckle to drop an elbow, realises Jericho's way too far away, so he just gets off, walks across and starts kicking piss out of him. That. Very awkward, very unfortunate. My next comment, The Rock sharpshooter is awful. Awful. It's as bad as Cena's chin support recovery
so
system.
Loose as well.
He's just holding the ankles.
Yeah, it's so loose.
And I'm getting animated, and my wife's going, "Oh, it doesn't look particularly comfortable." I said, "It's not. That's no pain in that."
Having seen other sharpshooters,
doesn't stop Angle tapping out like a little bitch.
Yeah, I know, that was ridiculous.
Oh, Kurt, you're better than that. But then again, I guess in hindsight, you go, "Oh, okay, yeah, tapping out, so it's 2 against 1." He's done his job. He didn't have to tap out, so that's the way I'm justifying that one in my head.
Fair play.
Austin with a bloody mouth. I think that's the 3rd of the night.
Oh, I said Austin looking like me when I eat spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, brilliant. That's a quite powerful imagery that you put in my head there. Yeah.
I'm a messy eater.
Yeah, I just like the idea of spaghetti like wrapped around his ear or something. It's brilliant. I don't know how he got that. I didn't see anything.
I don't either. I think it just... I don't know, who fucking knows. But
like Matt Hardy's and Regal's from earlier in the night, I remember seeing how they did it. But this one I didn't see.
I don't know where it came from.
What caused it. And then Austin counters a poor roll-up with an even worse roll-up, pinning Y2J. Jericho's gone.
Yep.
What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, just...
The Booker T one shoulder's not even down. This is just awful.
But also, by this point in the match, I didn't care.
You were ready for it to be done.
I actually was ready for it to be finished.
You were ready for it to be done. Yeah, it was a long match, to be fair. I think I looked at the time, it was close to 40
too
plus
long
minutes.
for me. Especially with that many... It sounds silly, but with that many people, it just was a bit too much for me. And it sounds weird because you'd think it would be more gripping, but it just... I think because the match itself was a bit meh.
That's
I was
fine.
just ready for it to be over.
That's fine. But I was just a little bit embarrassed for them for how sloppy that looked.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they were tired.
Oh, yeah.
But the only roll-up that I've seen that was worse than that was when Stone Cold legitimately had broken his neck against Owen Hart, and they still for some reason called that he should win the match.
Yeah.
And he kind of just drops his dead weight, broken, can't feel anything body across Owen Hart for the pin. This was not quite as bad as that, but it wasn't far off. Jericho's gone. Right. Okay. Back to the Rock and Austin. Brawl all over the announce table. They start slapping meat. Rock is slapping Austin's chest meat like you wouldn't believe. He's like at a deli counter cutting up the pastrami. Sounds horrendous. Austin's already bleeding from the mouth. He's not having a nice time of things.
No.
And then it quickly devolves from there. So when Jericho leaves, Jericho has a little bit of a tantrum. Yep. Skull crushing finale on the Rock. Oh God, it can't end like this. No, it doesn't. Jericho sees the kick out after he's walking up, comes to run out.
I don't think I've ever seen The Undertaker run.
This is fair.
Ever.
He should have come out on his little motorbike again.
We'd left it there. It was by the ring the whole time.
Why did he do That's outrageous.
It was by the ring the whole time. And I literally watched it and went, hang on.
Did he have a parking warrant?
He got fine while he was there.
Brilliant.
I don't think I've ever actually seen him run. And he did.
He did.
He ran down there.
I didn't stack it, to be fair.
That's why it makes me nervous when you see people run down runs.
Because it's a slope and it's like there's no real grip on it, I don't think.
But he did run and I was like, wow.
Got there, interfered with Jericho.
Made sense.
Like, Jericho, you need to go back to the locker room. He did. Mm-hmm. And then we come to the conclusion. Lots of countered finishing moves. They're hitting each other's finishes as Rock and Austin always do.
Yeah.
Kicking out of everything. Mm-hmm. Angle comes in with the WWE title. Heyman's singing his praises like, yes, he's doing it for the Alliance. No.
Nope.
Stone Cold gets twatted with the title.
Yep.
Rock bottom. After referee bollocks, the referee start having a petty
The one
slap
person I did say, I said, I'll be honest, the person that worked the hardest in this match for me was the ref. The WWF one.
Yeah.
I loved the bit when Austin swears at him.
Yeah,
and he swears right back at him.
That's great.
And I'm like, yes,
Pushes
that's
him.
very good. But he just get ragged around.
It's like Austin's character should have gone, fuck, and then immediately stunned him.
Yeah,
there shouldn't have been any, but a funny moment.
So yeah.
And then rock bottom, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
WWF are victorious, stay in business. Mm-hmm. And we get Vincent Kennedy McMahon coming to the top of the entranceway, doing like a geriatric who's just won bingo at his care centre. Arms up in the air, WWF are victorious. Yeah. That is the end of the show as The Rock celebrates. What did you think?
Of the whole match? Or
the whole match? The whole show?
It was okay.
Okay.
If it had have stopped before that last match,
the key match,
I'd have enjoyed it more. It was too long. There was too much, the ref stuff was annoying. Yeah. I get it and I see the point in it, and I'd much rather that happened than Paul Heyman go in and do the tap on, do the 1, 2, 3 he did at, I think, ECW one we watched. But the last one just dragged on a bit for me, and I really did lose interest. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we know who wins this.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously, again, in hindsight, knowing what we know now.
Yeah, of course. The match as a whole, I thought was alright. I don't know.
What would you rate the whole show as? Out of
5.
Wow, so the lowest show we've done so far.
Yeah, purely because, I loved the Hardys match, obviously.
Edge and Test.
But there weren't enough peaks to stop it being too long.
You preferred the first half of the card because you enjoyed every match up until...
Yes.
Okay.
For sure. I could have stopped it there and it'd have been a solid 8.
Fine. That's quite interesting because No Mercy, obviously the show that we just did before this, did something very similar to me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed a fair bit of the first stuff and then it just it went bad.
I understood it all.
5 out of 10.
And I got why they did it.
Okay.
But it just... my interest was really gone.
Yeah.
And that's the first one we've watched where my interest really
in a match
really
or
dwindled.
A show? Well, both, I guess.
It was because it was that last match.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Surprised a little bit because I thought the crowd and stuff might add a bit more to it for you.
There were other elements to it, but I think overall I have to leave it as a mid card.
Fair enough.
For me.
Right, 5 out of 10. Yeah. So not a thumbs of approval from Holly that I was expecting.
It's alright. It just wasn't horrendous. It wasn't brilliant.
Because you use 5 out of 10 as a average.
Yeah.
Fine.
For
Okay,
me.
if it's going on
It's
that,
an
because
average,
5
yeah.
to me is bad.
Oh no, it's
Fine.
mid-table. It's all right.
So I would, yeah. I mean, I think people are more interested in your rating on it, so I don't feel like I need
doubt
to give mine. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was one of my favourites as a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
I had access to it, but yeah, it was nice to be able to bring that to the table
Yeah.
and give it some dissection.
Brilliant. And we have jabbered on for a long time.
This is an impressive
time.
one. I think we've gone over like 2 hours 40. I mean,
know.
fair play to the people that listen, but it's nice that there's no set time because then you don't feel like you're rushing. You're not
No.
trying to shoehorn things in or cut things out.
No.
It was good, but I think Holly, it's that time to at the end of the
yeah.
show where we get the social information
Gosh.
up, so people know if they want to reach out to us how they can do so.
Yep. So email wintwicepod@gmail.com. Give Scott some work to do, please. Not that he doesn't already have enough to do, but
Thanks.
you know.
Cheers.
Some recommendations of what we can watch would go down a treat.
Yeah.
Instagram wintwicepod. Give us a cheeky follow.
And give Holly some work to do.
Yes, that is
Well,
mine.
she
yes.
doesn't already.
Yes.
But and yeah, and I'm sure, like I said, between episodes we'll be putting little teasers up of what the next
Yeah.
one's going to be, or outright saying what it's going to be.
Gosh, I need to. It's my turn, isn't it?
It is your turn to pick.
Gosh, I need to have a think.
We'll have
Work
to
out
have
what
a
we're going
think,
to
yeah,
do.
Work out when we're going to fit it in the busy schedule.
Lovely.
Yeah, look forward to it. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Hope you have.
Yes.
Hope anyone and everyone listening has
Anyone,
enjoyed
the
it as
one
well.
other person that's
There's
listening.
loads. There's going to be thousands. They're going to get on the gravy train late, Holly. I
Gravy
have full
train.
confidence in the fact that will happen.
Gosh.
But yeah, hope everyone has enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully you'll tune in to the next one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.